A desolate, orange-hued landscape stretches out under a vast, oppressive sky, where crumbling ruins pierce the horizon, for at the end of hell itself. These treacherous paths, carved into the very fabric of this desolate realm, are prepared by the shadow world itself, forming the ultimate labyrinths that reward only those deemed worthy. Into this harsh reality, Desser steps, his cloaked form a stark silhouette against the alien sky as he surveys the vast, broken landscape before him. His gaze is sharp, taking in every detail of the ruins and the distant, ominous structures, a silent resolve hardening his features. But his contemplation is abruptly shattered by a guttural roar, as a colossal, demonic figure with glowing red eyes and jagged teeth looms into view, its very presence radiating an indignant fury. The meteor-ranked destruction dragon, Bromir Napolitan, is here, and it's absolutely furious, its fiery maw blazing with raw power. With a booming voice that shakes the very ground, the demon mocks, remembering all the puny humans who dared to stand against him. He throws down the gauntlet, daring anyone, to face his overwhelming power. But one figure refuses to back down, Desser Herman, his mind burning with the memory of a 10-year war, a decade spent battling this exact monstrous evil. A surge of electric blue energy crackles around his hand, as he vows to transcend time and space, to finally put this demon down for good. His eyes burning with fierce resolve, he makes it clear, this is the absolute end for Napolitan. Leaving a blazing trail of blue energy, he charges, swearing to slay the demon and finally, end its reign of evil. The impact is absolutely devastating, a blinding, earth-shattering explosion of orange and blue magic swallowing Bromir whole. As the light clears, a colossal crater scars the land, with residual blue energy fading into the utterly destroyed landscape. He's charging up, hands blazing with an insane blue energy that's just building and building. The air around him is practically exploding with raw magic, and lightning bolts are just tearing out of that swirling vortex. Then, with a surge of pure will, his magic's final analysis locks in, and all that insane power slams into his fist, glowing with an epic blue light. He lets loose with a primal scream, shouting that he's just shut down the dragon's voice. The attack lands, and Donovan Asselin is hyped, yelling, "Nice. Good work, Desser." The dragon gets absolutely rocked by the hit, while the King of Esteban is thinking, this is it. Finish it. Then, a massive, fiery explosion just detonates, ripping apart the ground and sending huge chunks of rock flying everywhere. The dragon is totally swallowed by the inferno, its body twisting under the sheer, crushing power. As the dust settles and debris rains down, Desser stands tall, surveying the absolute chaos he just unleashed, with Donovan right there beside him. Bromir Napolitan's colossal, scaly hand trembles, his voice erupting in a desperate, disbelieving roar. He can only scream, "This can't be happening, no," as the desolate, scarred landscape unfolds, a sinister, shadowy mass dominating the horizon. After an agonizing eternity, Desser Herman finally exhales, the crushing burden of 10 years shattering as he stares out at the bizarre, new reality. His allies converge, a wave of triumph and relief sweeping through the squad as they stand united on a jagged peak. He just stands there, silent, as Raphael drops the bombshell question, is this barren wasteland really the world they risked everything for? Jode, ever the thinker, drops a mind-bending idea, what if their own desires are warping reality? Did they even want to go back to their old world? But Adjest isn't having any of it, shutting down the idea instantly. She definitely wanted to go back home. Donovan, with a smirk, finds the whole thing hilarious, joking that he also just wanted to get back to his throne. The whole crew is just standing there, stranded in this bizarre world, each of them wrestling with their own hopes and fears. Bridget, looking serious, chimes in with her own wish, just wanting to get back to her studies. Radioria, a touch of sadness in her voice, just wants to see her family, a raw, simple wish that hits everyone hard. Desser, taking in all their wishes, has a heavy realization, he's more responsible for this mess than he thought. Donovan, now dead serious, drops the hard truth, if they hadn't wanted to go back, they wouldn't be stuck here. Raphael, staring down Desser, can't help but admit his shock, confessing he genuinely thought the young mage was a goner. He goes on, laying out the cold, hard facts, even with god-tier power, a 3-tiered mage should never be able to mess with the Tower of Magic's mana circles, that's Archmage territory. The knight admits that while it defies all logic, Desser somehow pulled it off, a move even he, a 5-tiered magician, couldn't completely copy. The whole crew is left scratching their heads, baffled by Desser's insane talent, but also totally confused why he's still stuck as a 3-tiered mage. Donovan cuts in, pointing out that a new body should mean a new rank, the king theorizing that while Desser's old self might have been a 5-tiered powerhouse, his current form is holding him back at 3 tiers. The king sighs, wishing Desser had the holy power of magic, because then he'd be getting all the support he could ever need. With a firm hand, Donovan shuts down the past talk, then spins to the others, demanding to know their next move. He then faces Raphael, declaring that even though they're stuck here, he's expecting a hero's welcome in this new world, then throws the question back at everyone. Donovan boldly proclaims he'll be hailed as a hero, recognized for his epic achievements, and he's gonna redeem his family's name, no matter what. Clutching a pulsating orb, Desir makes a solemn vow. He'll never forget the fallen heroes, their bravery etched into his very soul, forever. Jode, with Radioria hanging on her every word, declares her mission, to bring peace to the fallen. A memorial shrine is the least they deserve. Bridget, with a spark in her eyes, reveals her ambition, the Tower of Magic holds all secrets. She's going to devour every single piece of magical knowledge this world has to offer. Donovan, taking it all in, then challenges Adjest. What's your move, Lady Adjest? Adjest pauses, her mind racing. Then, with a sharp gaze, she asks Desir, what about you? What's your game plan here? Desir, with a confident smirk, throws down a challenge, join me. Are you coming back to Hawkrian Academy? The orb in his palm throbs with power. His face sets, a fierce determination burning in his eyes. Then, out of nowhere, a massive energy pulse explodes from the fallen beast. A thunderous kaboom rocks the entire area. Donovan, Raphael, and Desir are stunned, their minds racing. Was it still alive? Donovan can't believe his eyes, shouting that they annihilated the dragon. Raphael, equally bewildered, thinks they finished it off. The king's frustration boils over as he yells, I even confirmed if it was dead or not. But Desir's eyes, now burning with an eerie green glow, are already analyzing the situation, piecing together the puzzle. A sudden realization hits him, a crucial question about the dragon's very essence. As he surveys the colossal, lifeless dragon and the devastated land, a forgotten memory resurfaces, a book from a distant past. He reveals the ancient text secrets. A dragon's heart, much like a human's, circulates an enormous amount of built-up mana through its entire being. But here's the kicker, when a dragon dies, it loses the ability to use all that stored mana, like a battery suddenly cut off from its power grid. The dragon's core was going absolutely wild, pulsing with raw, unstable power. Raphael couldn't believe his eyes, practically yelling at Desir to tell him this was all just a sick joke. Donovan Asselin, looking absolutely terrified, could only come to one chilling conclusion, that superheated heart was going to blow. Raphael was still totally lost, but Desir, cool as ever, broke it down. A dragon's heart is like a human's, the ultimate mana pump, but once it's dead, it's just a dead battery, unable to use its stored power. So why was this one acting like it was about to go nuclear? Suddenly, the core erupted in a blinding, explosive burst of energy. Raphael was absolutely floored by the insane power, and Donovan Asselin, looking up like the world was ending, started a desperate prayer, begging for some divine intervention. He wondered if this was really how it all went down. But then, Desir's hands started to glow with an intense inner light. A soft, resonant hum filling the air as his power surged. His fingers ready to unleash something big. Out of nowhere, a mysterious blue energy ignites in his hands, swirling with an otherworldly glow. Just a moment ago, this young man was casually strolling through a sleek, modern corridor, completely oblivious to the power about to awaken. But now, that blue energy explodes around him, engulfing him in a blinding light, leaving him utterly shocked and bewildered. Desir is back. He's standing there, totally confused, thinking, wait, I'm here. I thought I was dead. A soft, ethereal glow surrounds him, like the air itself is buzzing with magic. Suddenly, he's in a crowd of students, all looking hyped and curious, with Radioria right there, as they all stare at someone just out of frame. Footsteps echo through the hall. Getting closer to the assembled group, as a voice booms, it is an honor to meet all of you today. The speaker, a woman with short, spiky blonde hair, steps forward and declares, I am Professor Bridget. Standing before the massive crowd, she lays down the law, the Bridget entrance exam title flashing above. She's not spilling the beans on why they're here, but one thing's clear, they better bring their A-game and show some serious determination. In the sea of students, a pink-haired girl leans in, totally baffled. A professor? Her. She looks way too young. BM, Bridget's voice cracks like a whip, silencing the crowd. Hey. I can hear every single whisper. Shut it when I'm talking. Her eyes, sharp as daggers, sweep across the terrified faces of the students. You can practically feel the tension. Then, the bombshell drops, not all of you are making it in. Ouch. Her face is stone cold, leaving zero room for argument. This professor means business. Panic starts to ripple through the crowd. What kind of test is this gonna be? Someone freaks out, and even Desir's like, yeah, no clue either. Bridget's got their attention again, ready to drop the big reveal about the entrance exam. The suspense is killing everyone as she holds that pause, the camera zooming in on Desir's dark hair and Bridget's caramel locks. What's the test? A student's mind races, demanding to know why they weren't prepped for a dragon encounter in the shadow world. This is for mission objectives, people. Panic starts to ripple through the crowd, but Professor Bridget instantly shuts it down, telling everyone to chill out. Still, one student can only stammer, "What the?" Desser Herman's eyes narrow as the professor drops the bombshell. The shadow world is just a simulation, a high-stakes test created by the academy. His face is unreadable. Bridget, ever the professional, keeps the info flowing, announcing that everyone gets a mentor to walk them through the exam specifics. Then comes the big reveal: the class of 3613's entrance exam kicks off in just 2 hours. Flashing a confident smile, she wishes them all good luck and hopes to see them at the finish line. A buzz of nervous energy fills the air as the students process the news, the phrase, the entrance exam, hanging heavy with anticipation. Moments later, the halls are alive with students scrambling, a frantic mix of nerves and resolve as they rush to their exam spots. Desser's face hardens, a silent vow forming as he realizes this is just the start of his shadow world journey. Desser Herman's mind is a whirlwind, one word screaming through his thoughts: again. He flashes back to a critical moment, questioning why they were kept in the dark about a dragon, only to be hit with the brutal truth: it was the first time humanity had ever taken one down. He knows this place, this shadow world, he's been through it, he's graduated from it, and if history is any guide, things are about to get real. Now, he's stuck in the shadow world again, and the terrifying question hits him: is he just reliving his worst nightmares? This isn't some game. The shadow world is a brutal nightmare where the pain is absolutely, terrifyingly real. A primal scream rips from his throat as he faces down an overwhelming, shadowy legion, their menacing forms closing in. Tears stream down his face, a raw display of the agony and desperation he feels. But high above, a fiery red-haired girl watches from a lavish balcony, scoffing that the lone figure below is just some commoner aimlessly wandering. Back in his head, Desser Herman's eyes burst open. It was all a dream, a brutal memory he's sworn to rewrite. He's making a solemn vow to shield everyone, his determination burning brighter than ever. With a powerful, determined stride, he bolts away from the massive academy. Suddenly, a voice slices through the air, demanding to know where he vanished to, since he wasn't where he was supposed to be. The red-haired student, looking totally ticked off, snaps, confirming if he's actually Desser Herman. She stands there, hands on her hips, rocking her sharp school uniform, waiting for his answer. Desser meekly apologizes, but the red-haired student just scoffs, still fuming over him ditching. A vibrant pink-haired student beams at Desser, introducing herself as Radioria von Dorich, but quickly tells him to just call her Radioria. She's his mentor for the day, and he's in her care. But Desser, ever confident, flips the script, declaring she'll be in his care too. Meet Radioria, a second-year prodigy at the academy. She's not just a student, she's a combat instructor, a magical powerhouse, and she's barely out of her teens. Don't sweat the entrance exam, she tells him. But Desser, surprisingly, admits he's actually nervous. She chuckles, revealing the exam's simulated shadow world is a total joke compared to the real deal. He's confused, but she quickly clarifies: the exam is just a gatekeeper, testing if they're even ready for the real shadow world. He processes her words, a thought dawning on him: this whole setup hints at a deeper issue with commoners. She reads his mind, confirming the harsh truth: talented commoners often crash and burn without the right education and resources. Inside the Academy's administration office, the infamous 10th class is revealed, the absolute bottom tier, according to the Academy. Even if you're a prodigy, if you're a commoner, the Academy will crush you with discrimination. That's the brutal truth Desser's about to learn. But first, there's something critical he has to know after getting in, so he cuts to the chase: what is the shadow world? Radioria confirms he's talking about the simulated shadow world, but warns him it's still super dangerous, and Desser just goes quiet, taking it all in. Bracing herself for a long talk, Radioria dives deep into what the shadow world actually is. The shadow world, a super dangerous place, first popped up when the very first shadow labyrinth was cleared, linking it to our reality, and it's been growing non-stop. Inside, physics and magic are twisted, making monsters even stronger. Some of these worlds are chill, but others are insane, all based on real-world history, and because they're connected, physics and magic are messed up, boosting monster strength. Basically, if you want a new world, it's gotta be a shadow world. The higher the world's rank, the harder it gets, turning the shadow world into a monster-filled death trap. Its endless expansion has been eating up the real world, turning it into a giant maze. Any land swallowed by the shadow world just spawns another shadow world, and that's the critical part. Once a place goes dark, it becomes a shadow world, and it can keep growing until the shadow completely devours it. This endless spread is exactly why it's so vital to grasp, and Radioria's face just screams pure shock and worry. The chilling truth of the shadow world sinks in, and his gaze hardens. Radioria's mind is clearly racing, a quiet escaping her as she gazes up at Desser. Before her eyes widen in sudden, sharp surprise. She starts laying out the critical importance of the Western Kingdoms, and their legendary academy. These aren't just any places, they're the only ones that can even stand a chance, because their magic rivals the shadow world's own raw power. She then drops a bombshell about other places out there, beyond their current scope, but quickly brushes them aside as not important yet. She challenges him, asking if he even knows what it takes to conquer the Shadow World's objectives in their own Western world, and Desser, cool as ever, just confirms that he's already got it covered. He lays out the critical objectives to conquer the Shadow World, a phenomenon utterly unprecedented in human history. To halt its advance, he reveals, they must completely clear the Shadow World by taking down its dragon. A legendary beast whose heart can forge a dragon-slaying sword, but the dragon is just the beginning. Drawing on his unparalleled experience, he drops the bombshell. The real objectives are far more complex, demanding the defeat of both the dragon and a hidden boss. Radioria's jaw practically hits the floor, a stunned, huh. Escaping her. Her mind reels, utterly unable to grasp how he possesses such impossible knowledge. Meanwhile, the imposing Havrian Academy main building looms into view. Inside, Desser and Radioria navigate the busy corridors. She stops, eyes fixed on the student council office sign, as he calmly walks on. They've made it. Desser and Radioria finally reach the legendary Havrian Academy, and this place is absolutely huge. From way up high, they're just soaking in the sheer size of this place, it's insane. Desser's got that look on his face, like he's already calculating every angle of this massive school. Radioria's jaw is practically on the floor, calling him out on his awe, but Desser just smirks, promising even more mind-blowing stuff. He just laughs, confirming this insane building is just one of their stops, and Radioria is absolutely floored. She's totally blown away, a little PPOK sound escaping her as her mind tries to process it all. Still checking out the scene, Radioria spots someone and immediately asks Desser if he knows the guy. Desser gives a knowing nod, spilling the tea that it's Azer, and not holding back, calls him a complete asshole. Meet Azer, a total beast of a third circle water mage, who was also Nox's rival. This guy is pure power and pure arrogance, living up to his complete asshole title. Still looking down on them, Azer keeps up the trash talk, hitting Radioria with a weird mascara jab and calling her slow. Desser, totally baffled by the bizarre insult, can only wonder if that's why he's supposedly lagging behind. Then, he zeroes in on Radioria, giving a backhanded compliment about her grades before slamming her for lacking mana. But Radioria isn't having it, firing back with a sharp jab about his arrogant personality. With a smug grin, Azer keeps poking, asking if he's just that good or if she just got utterly wrecked by his lucky fire magic. Desser's face darkens, and he pushes back, questioning Azer's grasp of what it means to truly lose, then flat out declares himself superior. Azer, briefly stunned, quickly laughs it off, warning Desser that if he actually backed up his talk, he'd be kicked out. Radioria just smirks, clearly enjoying the show. As Azer's temper flares, a sinister, shadowy purple aura starts to swirl ominously behind him. His face twists in pure rage, eyes narrowed to dangerous slits. He snaps his gaze back to Desser, pointedly asking if he's Radioria's mentee. Desser coolly confirms it, then throws shade at Azer's manners before dropping his own name, Desser Armin. The air was thick with unspoken challenge, and Desser, ever the strategist, casually checked his device, uttering his own name, Desser Armin, as if confirming a fact. Azer's face contorted into a venomous sneer, his words cutting like a knife as he scoffed, a commoner. Seriously? He kept up the verbal assault, tearing into the concept of a magic commoner and prematurely calling the match, leaving Radioria visibly crushed by his cruel words. But Desser wasn't having it. He stepped up, his tone sharp as he defended Radioria, telling Azer to check the group placements before running his mouth. Just then, a holographic display flashed into existence, revealing the Group D lineup, and there, right at the top, was Desser Armin's name. Seeing Desser's name just sent Azer into a full-blown rage. His eyes blazed with a terrifying yellow light, and a sinister purple aura erupted around him as he seethed, a commoner. Winning. Pathetic. But Desser didn't even flinch. He stared down Azer's furious glare with pure steel in his eyes, retorting that such big talk was his right as the senior, the mentor. Radioria could only watch, her face a mask of shock and worry, as Desser doubled down on his bold claims. Then, with a confident gesture, Desser extended his hand to the still fuming Azer, formally introducing himself and demanding to know his rival's name. He stands there, cool as ice, while a red-haired student stares up at him, clipboard clutched tight. His face giving absolutely nothing away. But elsewhere, a blonde-haired student's eyes go wide, a name escaping her lips that just rocked the entire academy, it's a Jest King's crown. Her jaw drops, pure disbelief etched across her face. And a pink-haired student's eye practically pops out in shock. A Jest stares out at the city, a single word slipping past her lips as the sheer scale of her power is laid bare, unbelievable. An ice elemental magician wielding vision magic, that's a game-changer. Back in the hall, Desser and Radchin are at a device, with a Jest and Azer watching, the narrator dropping a bombshell about her status as a three-tiered magic circle magician whose spell power blows most knights out of the water. Azer's face twists in pure rage, and he explodes. What did you say? Radchin, totally blindsided, can only gasp, commanded me. A wicked smirk spreads across Azer's face as he digs the knife in. Where did all of your attitude go, Radchin? Azer, ever the provocateur, leans in close to Radchin, his words dripping with venom as he questions if she's already forgotten her place after her earlier display of attitude. Then, with a sneer, he delivers a chilling piece of advice, warning her that even if she somehow scrapes by the exam, her attitude will land her in the lowest class. His eyes narrow with disdain, telling her to just give up on the entrance exam and get out. As they turn to leave, Radchin can't hold it in any longer, a furious scream tearing from her throat. Desser, witnessing the entire explosive exchange, can only watch as the drama unfolds. Unaware of the simmering conflict, Radioria glides past, focused on her own path. A knowing smirk touches Desser's face, clearly entertained by the unfolding drama. Suddenly, a clear, authoritative voice booms across the academy, declaring the entrance exam is about to kick off. A prominent sign points the way, urging all test takers to the examination site. The announcement drops, and he's already moving, ready for whatever comes next. Meanwhile, Radioria can't help but let out a playful laugh, clearly still buzzing from the pre-exam drama. The crowd is buzzing, a low, constant chatter echoing through the grand hall. Then, out of nowhere, a complex magical circle, blazing with intricate golden runes, erupts on the ground, pulsating with raw, untamed energy. Desser's eyes lock onto the glowing array, a jolt of memory hitting him as he questions, was it always like this? Meanwhile, Radioria, flanked by a jest and another student, is absolutely fuming, tearing into someone and shouting, you're still an embarrassment to the guild. Desser's jaw drops, his eyes practically bugging out in pure, unadulterated shock, a choked cry tearing from his throat. He stares, his mind racing, as he screams, Romantica. The impossible truth explodes in his head, you were alive. Are you hurt? Anywhere. He stares down at the glowing magical circle, a wave of disbelief washing over him as he recognizes the figure within, a choked gasp escaping his lips. Meanwhile, in a different time or place, Radioria expresses her frustration, demanding to know why they weren't informed about the dragon before its demise, to which a jest calmly explains that it was the first time in human history a dragon had ever been slain. Radioria then chastises him, reminding him of her constant support. Elsewhere, Bridget beams with relief, overjoyed to see Romantica healthy and well. Back with the protagonist, he cries out Romantica's name, his voice filled with raw emotion, as she lies vulnerable within the shimmering magical circle. He reflects on the despair that had once consumed him, and the profound weakness he had felt. Now standing beside him, Romantica offers a gentle smile, expressing her relief at being safe. His gaze hardening with renewed determination, he vows never to let her go again, never to lose her. With a powerful surge of resolve, he promises to protect and save her. As a sudden notification rings out, announcing that Group D's event has been decoded, he looks on with surprise, Romantica by his side. Alright, the system's laying down the law. This isn't just any event, it's Group B's event, and get this, magic is a must and other players. Totally fair game to attack. Forget a rule, and you're getting hit with a penalty. Forfeit. You're out of the shadow world, period. But hold up, for safety, mana reception is getting slashed by 80%. The clock's ticking down, 5 minutes until the race kicks off, so everyone get behind that starting line. Elsewhere, Radioria is totally bummed, complaining they should have gotten a racing event, especially after hearing Group D had to duke it out with a giant troll. The system confirms their entry, and just like that, Desser, Romantica, a jest, and Radioria blast through a shimmering portal, ready to face whatever's next. They materialize on a massive, grassy plain, towing the starting line, the system's voice booming the final countdown, 5 minutes to race time. Get behind that line, people. Suddenly, a crackle of energy. It's Azer, the rival, watching them with that infuriating smirk, his presence screaming that this race just got a whole lot more intense. Desser locks eyes with a jest, offering a hesitant, almost awkward, hi. What's up with that vibe? A jest, cool as ever, drops a bombshell, thinking aloud that she might have also time-traveled, just like Desser. Desser, totally baffled by her poker face, admits he can never figure out what she's thinking, and a jest's only response. A cryptic, you. A jest cuts deep, looking at Bridget and flat-out calling someone weak. Desser hears it, and a frustrated, damn, escapes him. He knows it, but it still hits hard. Bridget tries to smooth things over, explaining that the weakness is just the environment messing with their mental levels, making powerful spells impossible. But a jest isn't having it, shrugging off any blame and making it clear she's not here to help anyone. She throws a quick, calculating glance. Then Desser fires back, directly challenging her, declaring there's no point in even bothering with someone so beneath him. The system blares, 10 seconds until race start. And then, the final command, participants, prepare yourselves. The air crackles as Desser and Ajest stand face to face, ready to explode into action. A young woman watches, a bright smile on her face, hands clasped in pure anticipation. Meanwhile, Azer watches, a subtle smirk playing on his lips. Then, with a sudden, explosive call of "Start," the race is on. Ajest explodes off the line, a dark blur in her wake, instantly seizing a commanding lead over Desser. Her boot crushes a small plant, barely a blip in her relentless pace as she leaves him in the dust. Her blistering speed sends a startled rabbit rocketing out of her way, a white flash against the green blur. Desser, seeing the absolute chaos she's unleashing, shouts, "Hey! You guys are causing so much trouble all around." Oblivious to the high-speed drama, a tiny, furry creature cautiously peeks from its grassy burrow. But Ajest, laser-focused on victory, steps right on it, eliciting a concerned, "Ah," from Desser, as she nonchalantly adds, "It's a leaf thing, I'm sorry they're so cute." The young woman, absolutely fuming, glares at the guy, practically screaming, "Why are you so happy?" He just chills, asking her, "What's even wrong with you right now?" She's losing it, yelling about how she's about to leave, and he just casually drops, "It's because I'm happy." She can't even process it, demanding to know how he could possibly be that happy about it. Absolutely livid, she sneers at him, telling him a commoner like him will never get past Tier 2 magic. But he's not even fazed. His eyes flash with determination, and he vows to show her what real power looks like. And just like that, the young woman's hands ignite with a blinding blue energy, a powerful magical aura swirling around her as she gets ready to throw down. Azer is locked in, checking the exam results. Groups A and C are done, but the action's still going for D and F. And everything's running like clockwork, plus, this year's student lineup. Absolutely insane. Sure, last year's crew was good, but this year? There's a magic swordsman who's just built different. And get this, a commoner in that group. Totally unexpected. He's even thinking about the tactical nightmare, a commoner mage against a knight. Yikes. But then his focus shifts to Romantica, and he can't help but think she's absolutely incredible. Desser Herman was tearing across the rocky landscape when a strange sound ripped through the air, instantly grabbing his focus. Then, out of nowhere, a monstrous gust of wind slammed into him, leaves exploding around him as he yelled, "The wind." But before he could even process it, a razor-sharp blade of pure wind slashed through the air with an explosive blow. The hit was instant, brutal, and absolutely devastating, blasting him backward with a kaboom that sent him flying. He fought to regain his footing, but the sheer mana radiating from the attack was insane, and then it hit him. Is it Romantica? Still airborne, his face contorted in grim realization, this wasn't just a test, this was a full-on kill attempt. He gripped his sword, ready to parry, thinking, just block this and I'm good, but then his eyes widened in shock at what he saw next. Romantica, a whirlwind of raw power, unleashed another devastating, sword-like gust of wind, her blonde hair whipping wildly. Desser could only raise his sword in a desperate block, his eye wide with pure shock at the insane power of the W-wind. He's instantly swallowed by a powerful, swirling vortex of wind, the sheer force of it absolutely shredding the air around him. Relentlessly buffeted, he's fighting just to stay upright against the invisible assault. But a part of him just brushes it off, thinking it's just some magic swordsman's trick, a total mana waste. The wind keeps slamming into him. Until a chilling realization hits him like a truck, this wasn't just some warm-up. She was going for the kill from the get-go. His eyes narrow in pure fury, a curse ripping from him as the wind just keeps on raging. His face twisted into a snarl of pure hatred, he absolutely roars Romantica's name, the betrayal just burning through his soul. Then, with a deafening boom, the wind magic detonates in a massive explosion, completely swallowing him and blasting him through the air. As the dust starts to clear, the desolate landscape shows tiny, distant figures, the only ones left after that insane attack. After barely making it out alive, the magic swordsman faces a new challenge as Radioria demands he get out of her sight. He starts to walk off, but she's not done, offering him a chance to back down, a thinly veiled threat to avoid a beatdown. But Desser isn't backing down, flat out rejecting her generous offer, and Radioria can only scoff at his supposed wisdom in retreating. Her face twists into a snarl of pure rage, screaming at him, how could he be so dumb? Didn't he see her power? It's beyond anything a commoner could even dream of. Desser just shrugs off her tantrum, telling her to chill out, but inside, Radioria is still seething, convinced she's giving him a final, merciful out. Then, with a furious burst, Radioria unleashes her power, a dazzling pink and purple storm of wind magic erupting around her. Desser knows he's gotta go all out to take her down, while Radioria charges up a monstrous wind strike, conjuring a swarm of glowing blue death orbs. She screams, unleashing the storm, but Desser is faster, deflecting the deadly wind with a blur. But the deflected magic detonates into a colossal, earth-shattering kaboom, a massive blue wind explosion ripping through the air. The raw power of the wind magic was still palpable, a devastating force that left onlookers questioning its very existence. Gazing down at the chaos she'd unleashed, Radioria reveled in the raw might of her spell, a force that would shatter even a Tier 7 mage. A ragged cough tore from her throat, the sheer effort of her spell leaving her breathless, yet still she marveled at its destructive potential. But against all odds, he remained utterly unscathed, a confident smirk gracing his face, leaving his opponent utterly flabbergasted by his sheer defiance. His unwavering calm sent a jolt of pure shock through Radioria, her jaw dropping in utter disbelief at the impossible sight before her. This dude is totally analyzing the magic he just saw, thinking it was impressive but also kinda sloppy. He's like, no control over speed means no control over air currents, which means your magic is basically a wild card. He's already figured out how to fix it, thinking he could just tweak the trajectory a bit, and Radioria is absolutely floored, yelling, "What? Just now, while he just coolly drops the bomb, I have analyzed your magic." Radioria's face is priceless, totally twisted in disbelief, she screams, "Stop lying. You're just a trash tier mage," but he just stares back, dead serious, "I'm not lying." Her eyes are practically popping out of her head, burning with rage and pure outrage. Radioria is absolutely losing it, my magic was analyzed by a commoner. The disrespect is real. But hold up, a super powerful female mage, glowing with an intense blue aura, drops some serious knowledge, a complete analysis. Impossible. Unless you've mastered all the runes, you're not even in the game. Desser zeroes in on the magic, instantly recognizing it's no ordinary ice spell, it's something far more complex. Radioria's jaw drops, her mind reeling, as she realizes he's not just looking, he's dissecting her magic in real time. The ice shards around them crackle with raw, unstable energy. With an intense focus, Desser unleashes his own power, shouting "Wind Venom," as a powerful aura flares around him, manipulating the very air. He then casually breaks down his technique, revealing how he'd just tweaked the air currents in a few key spots to dismantle the entire thing. The very air around them rumbles and distorts, reacting to his precise control. Radioria is left absolutely flabbergasted, her brain short-circuiting at the sheer impossibility of what just happened. Cool as ice, Desser drops a truth bomb on her, telling her that mastering her control would make her an unstoppable force. Radioria's hand shakes uncontrollably, her mind in a whirlwind, as she tries to compute how everything she thought she knew about magic just got shattered. The pressure builds, a hand clenches tight, this isn't just talk anymore, it's a full-blown showdown. Surrounded by a mystical haze, Desser radiates pure skill, a true talent ready to dominate. He steps forward with absolute resolve, declaring it's time to finish this. Radioria's face twists in utter shock, she can't believe he dare attack her, even as he keeps coming. In a burst of pure rage, she unleashes a furious cry, magic exploding around her as she denies his ability to strike. Her voice cracks, she can't even process what's happening, demanding to know about his magic. With tears blurring her vision, she shouts, "He can't use magic." She's determined to keep fighting, believing she'll expose his secret. Out of everyone in this entire entrance exam, only one other person could even hope to beat her. But Desser just watches her struggle, a subtle smirk on his face as he coolly decides that even her full power falls short. Under immense, invisible magical pressure, his face contorts with effort as he holds his ground, fully aware that his barrier is on the verge of shattering. With an intense, knowing gaze, he locks onto his opponent, a silent declaration of, "I'm already one step ahead." But Romantica, utterly baffled, stumbles back as her powerful magic fizzles out, her mind racing, "That's not even my full power. How is this happening?" A look of pure exasperation crosses Romantica's face as he coolly dissects her strategy, revealing not one, not two, but three fatal flaws in her approach. Unfazed, he continues his lecture, a master of understatement, casually mentioning that even his weak magic is more than enough to handle her. Her jaw drops, a mix of confusion and dread washing over her, as the terrifying thought of failure begins to sink in. With a dismissive turn, he drops the bombshell, the simple, yet devastating truth, gravity magic. Her mind reels, utterly floored, as the profound simplicity of his technique dawns on her, a fundamental magic that just removes friction. Her eye flares with pure terror, the undeniable truth slamming into her, as she feels his magic, even though she can't see a thing. Romantica is absolutely floored, her mind scrambling to process the impossible feat she just witnessed. She can't help but wonder if he just messed up, but Desser's chill demeanor says it all as he starts to drop some serious knowledge about how reality itself functions. He coolly lays out the truth, every action has a reaction, and he simply manipulated that core principle to create the mind-bending effect she just felt, leaving her absolutely speechless. He throws out another challenge, and Romantica can only manage a choked gasp, her brain short-circuiting from the sheer audacity. Then, with a faint shimmer around his hand, Desser drops the bombshell, he just applied that fundamental law to himself. He casually brings up Newton's third law, action and reaction, a concept so basic, it's almost insulting. He then drops the mic, he just removed the friction from his body, a tiny tweak that completely breaks the game. Romantica's eyes go wide with pure terror and a sudden, horrifying understanding, as the true genius, and danger, of his power hits her. As a fiery, explosive aura erupts around him, Desser just stands there, cool as ice, letting her fully grasp the sheer level of his insane skill. Romantica, absolutely floored by Desser's earlier explanation, demands to know why this game-changing info wasn't dropped before their epic dragon battle. Desser, cool as ice, drops the bomb. It was literally the first dragon ever in human history, then casually reminds her she only asked for a little show. Her face twists into pure horror and disbelief, as the true weight of his statement crashes down on her. A golden aura explodes around his hand as Desser declares these same rules apply here, gearing up for a mind-blowing practical demo. Then, a blinding flash. He unleashes a raw, explosive burst of magic. The impact hits with a deafening kaboom, rocking the entire area. A massive wave of green energy and debris explodes from the impact point, ripping through everything in its path. Romantica is absolutely speechless, jaw dropped, barely able to stammer out her shock at the insane power she just witnessed. The very ground gives up, collapsing into a massive dust cloud, a terrifying monument to Desser's simple magic. A blonde-haired blur absolutely rockets across the landscape, leaving a shimmering, impossible trail. They're moving at ludicrous speed, just devouring the distance. Those amber eyes. Pure, unadulterated focus, burning with intent. Then, a sudden, impossible stop. The figure spins, throwing down a challenge to an unseen foe. That gaze doesn't waver, not even an inch, it's a silent, terrifying promise. And then, Desser's face just shatters into pure shock and disbelief. Romantica absolutely flies across the open field. Her speed a total blur as she thinks, a mere rustle of grass left in her wake. Then, a chilling thought hits her, a flash of worry as she realizes, if she leaves him alone, he's totally gonna get ambushed. She whips her head around, confirming the front line is way ahead of him, and just like that, her mind is made up. With a fierce look, she declares, she's gonna make sure he's protected. With fierce determination, she declares, I'll give it my all. A blinding blue aura erupts around her as Romantica unleashes her true power, proclaiming, this body is the soul, pulling the world's power, uncoiling like a river. I am the endless wellspring of water, the source of all magic, the beginning and the end. With eyes blazing, she roars, fall, prey to my magic, Armona. Desser is engulfed by the swirling blue magical particles. Gazing up at the sheer magnitude of the power unleashed. Out of nowhere, Radioria confronts him, her hand crackling with blue energy, declaring, I don't know how you beat that, but your tricks won't work on me. Desser's mind races, a thought flashing through him, that much magic, so fast. She's unbelievable. But then, his expression hardens with resolve. His eyes ignite, and he declares, commence. His eye flares with an intense red glow, kicking off a rapid-fire skill analysis, diving headfirst into the magic's core. Suddenly, glowing purple runes burst into existence, each one a piece of the insane magic he's about to dissect. He locks in, analyzing a mind-blowing 180 different runes, cracking the magic formula wide open. And just like that, with a flash of insight, he's got it. Full access to all 180 runes, the magic formula is his. But before he can even blink, Radioria blasts off, a lightning-fast streak of blue energy, closing in for the kill. Desser, cool as ice, watches her charge, and just casually says, I got this. Radioria's hand blazes with raw power, shouting, course adjustment, as she fine-tunes her devastating strike. But Desser, with a fierce glare, snaps back, no, you won't, as a massive kaboom rips through the air. His counterattack detonates into a blinding, colossal explosion of light blue energy, swallowing everything. The sheer force of his magic absolutely shreds the air, leaving a path of pure devastation as the energy explodes outwards. A blonde-haired observer stares in utter shock, questioning if this is seriously how he took down the girl. But Desser just keeps coming, shirt ripped and bleeding, his resolve absolutely unshaken, making the observer wonder how he's even still standing. Radioria, surrounded by an intricate magic circle, is left reeling, as the blonde guy realizes Desser's magic absolutely shredded her defense formula into hundreds of fragments. She's forced to admit that his raw mana output was just too much for her magic to handle. His eyes blazing, the blonde observer makes a snap decision, if magic won't cut it against Desser, then he'll just have to beat him with brute force. Then, a blinding flash of crackling energy explodes, forming into a colossal, pulsating blue cube of power. His adversary made her play, but Desser just looked up, a confident smirk spreading across his face, calling out that she was finally using her brain. But then, he quickly declared that her chosen strategy was still dead wrong. Then, with an explosive burst, a colossal, shimmering blue energy blade tore through the air, ready to carve a path of destruction. While the blade soared, he simultaneously conjured a barrage of glowing blue magical shields, bracing for the ultimate showdown. His radiating blue energy then absolutely obliterated a torrent of green magic, a cataclysmic clash that sent his foe's attack reeling. The sheer force of the impact detonated into a blinding, white-hot explosion, utterly annihilating the green magic. When the smoke cleared, a colossal blue energy shield remained unyielding, the last vestiges of green magic fading into nothingness. With his eyes blazing a furious red, Desser locked in, unleashing his signature analysis to break down every magical detail. Immediately following his analysis, two powerful magical constructs, one brilliant blue and the other fiery orange-red, burst into existence, signaling a game-changing shift. Analysis locked in, Desser tightens his grip, making a critical course adjustment to his assault. His blue magic then collides head-on with the orange-red energy, unleashing a devastating kaboom of light and raw power. Radioria, completely blindsided, can only stare in shock as her green magic shatters. The sheer power of the counterattack sends her flying, while Desser's voice rings out, "We aren't going to lose this time." A shimmering blue barrier of pure energy erupts, blasting her even further back. Desser extends his arm, unleashing a relentless magical torrent, sending Radioria hurtling through the sky. She's launched helplessly over a sprawling, green landscape, her face a mask of pure shock and terror. Still airborne, she plummets, awaiting impact. A sharp, electronic tone cuts through the silence. As Desser, eyes squeezed shut, lets out a ragged exhale, a fresh streak of blood painting his cheek. Meanwhile, Romantica stands poised in a lush field, her staff tapping a rhythmic beat against the earth, her gaze fixed on the unfolding scene. But then, Desser stands tall in a breathtaking field of white blossoms, gazing skyward as a system notification blazes, declaring he has absolutely crushed the shadow world. This is the power of a true returnee, and it is undeniably special. The bald instructor is seriously heated, demanding to know why they weren't clued in about the dragon before it got taken down, as Desser takes it all in. The bald instructor drops a bombshell: this dragon was a first in human history, and now, the mana is going wild. He wonders if it's like Tier 7 magic, but nope, this power is on a whole other level, way beyond anything they've ever encountered. Romantica, totally baffled, can't believe this is happening, especially since this year was supposed to be totally normal, and she's asking if all this crazy mana is actually from the dragon itself. If it is, she figures that dragon's mana must have been off the charts, super dense. The bald instructor drops another bomb, declaring this power isn't even magic, it's just too massive to measure, as Radioria processes the information. Then, he throws some shade, saying commoners should just be thankful they even got into the academy. With a sharp motion, the bald instructor silences the room, his presence demanding immediate attention. Suddenly, an ancient wizard with a flowing white beard chimes in, revealing that the last student was only accepted because of their unique background, hinting at some serious backstory. After the bombshell about the last student, a bald professor, clearly agitated, demanded to know why they weren't informed about the dragon incident, suspecting a link to the same mysterious group. The elderly wizard, calm as ever, confirmed his suspicions: it was the very same group. The professor was absolutely floored, unable to fathom how such a massive secret could have been withheld, but the elderly wizard just coolly repeated that the intel was strictly classified. Sometime later, the now bearded professor cornered the elderly wizard, grilling him about a student who showed up with a recommendation letter, and he wanted answers: who exactly vouched for this kid? Facing a few students, the professor practically sneered at the notion of a commoner getting a recommendation, utterly baffled as to who would even consider it. Out of nowhere, Romantica, with a determined look, stepped up and flat-out stated she was the one who recommended him. The professor's jaw dropped, his brain scrambling to comprehend why she'd ever back someone from such a humble background, especially with his basic magic. He pushed for more, demanding to know her connection to the student and his scores, but Romantica just shrugged, saying it was a chance encounter. The professor, still reeling, heard Romantica clarify that the student's magic was basic, but it got the job done. The professor, absolutely floored, can't believe what he's hearing about this student's talent. But the elderly wizard isn't having it, urging them to check the facts, as a mysterious glowing orb projects the epic tale of a mage destined to flip the world on its head. Suddenly, a vision explodes into view, a magical barrier absolutely shattered, as some poor soul plummets through the icy wreckage. And there he is, the student, bathed in an ethereal blue light, a system notification blaring his triumph: shadow world cleared. Back to the present, the instructors are absolutely dumbfounded, muttering about how this level of power is beyond even Tier 7 magic, it's just insane. The professor can't wrap his head around a commoner pulling this off, but Romantica cuts him off, practically shouting about the student's raw genius and promising he'll be a Black Tower legend. We get another intense shot of Desser, his eyes blazing with pure determination, like he's been given a second chance at everything. The elderly wizard finally gets it: the student absolutely aced his exams, but the professor is still hung up on the paperwork, demanding to know why this recommendation was never approved. Then, the elderly wizard's jaw drops: Alpha class. And the professor's face just screams pure, unadulterated shock. The bombshell news about Desser Herman's Alpha class placement immediately ignites a firestorm, with Professor Pugman absolutely losing it, screaming at a student about someone pulling the same old stunt year after year. Meanwhile, the student caught in the blast zone just sits there, legs crossed, trying to disappear as the professor's rant goes on and on. Pugman is absolutely livid, his voice booming as he rips into the decision. How can a third-rate student get into Alpha class when a first-rate magician is getting completely ignored? He's not having any of it, declaring that someone who can't even use magic right has zero business in the elite Alpha class. The argument continues in a tense meeting, where Pugman doubles down on his position to Professor Kurt and Romantica, demanding his objections be respected, as Kurt also throws shade, asking who would even think of putting a third-rate magic circle magician in Alpha class. With a defiant scoff, Pugman makes it clear he'll do what he wants, throwing a sarcastic, have it your way at Kurt. His frustration is palpable, as he outright calls the opposing view completely delusional. He closes his eyes, utterly exasperated, muttering his disbelief at the whole mess. He keeps hammering his point, absolutely baffled that a student he sees as a third-rate combatant is getting a pass, but a first-rate magic circle magician isn't. Romantica unleashes, shutting down the pathetic excuses. She's not holding back, calling out the blatant discrimination against a commoner, and the professor is absolutely fuming. He's absolutely livid, his face twisting in pure fury. The recommendation is officially invalid, and Professor Kurt can only let out a frustrated grunt. Romantica isn't backing down, just demanding answers about the overruled recommendation, but Professor Kurt can't even look her in the eye. He finally breaks, demanding a vote from anyone who dares to oppose the Alpha class placement, and a hand shoots up instantly. The wise old wizard watches the drama unfold with a serene gaze, as the fate of the student hangs in the balance. The room erupts in whispers as everyone wonders why the recommendation got shot down, knowing full well that means Alpha class is out of reach. The Beta class list flashes on screen, confirming the commoner's fate, with some even saying he should just be grateful to be in the academy at all. Desser Armin stares down his Beta class assignment, his name right there on the screen, and he just shrugs, like he knew it all along. The entrance exams are finally over, and Desser Herman is already plotting his next move. He can't help but sneer, mentally branding them Beta class losers and arrogant bastards. He strides forward, Romantica right there with him, exiting the building alongside the other students. Suddenly, a system screen flashes, listing key players, Desser Armin, Romantica, and Prue. But what's this? A new face, Prue, is seen sitting alone, her bright pink hair a stark contrast to her utterly distraught demeanor. Sunlight blasts through the windows of an empty classroom, highlighting every single dust particle floating around. But this isn't some pristine academy, this place is seriously neglected, screaming old and run down, from every corner. Cobwebs are literally everywhere, clinging to the window frames, and a thick, gross layer of dust covers absolutely everything. A defeated sigh escapes Prue, her face a picture of pure disappointment. She just stares at the rundown room, totally over how messed up this place is. Her mind races through her own misery, hit with hunger, totally drained, and freezing in this dump. A single, burning question ignites the silence of the classroom. He can't help but rage, why is he even in the 9th class? But across the room, her amber eyes ignite with a furious red glow, she can't believe his nerve, talking like that in class. Prue's mind spirals, remembering his earlier jab, and she can't fathom why such an arrogant idiot is even in the 9th class. He lets out a frustrated grunt, catching her furious stare, still utterly annoyed by her loud antics. He can't take it anymore. He stands, confronting her head-on, demanding to know if she has a problem. His resolve solidifies, he won't waste another second here, he's getting out. He knows that in this dead-end place, so many potential legends will just be buried and wasted. He refuses to be another casualty, not a 9th class student, not after the horrors of the shadow world, he'll at least save the honor of those who fell for him. A subtle, almost eerie sound reverberates through the classroom, as if the very air is shifting, with light piercing through the silence. Even here, in this class, he can sense the raw talent, the sheer potential surrounding him. His hand tightens, a fierce resolve burning within him, if the past is to be rewritten, there's only one way to make it happen. Standing resolute, he makes a powerful declaration, he'll become the strongest magician, and he'll save them all. But to pull off this impossible feat, he's got to make his first move. Suddenly, a blood-curdling scream rips through the air, as Prue flinches back in pure horror. Her face twists in utter revulsion, as she declares, it stinks. Then, an older, stern-faced man cuts through the tension, demanding to know if they're honored to be in the 9th class. The intense instructor immediately lays down the law, challenging the students' very right to be there, declaring this space off-limits to any outsiders. His voice cuts through the air like a knife, he snaps at Prue, ordering her to stand tall. But before Prue can even stammer a word, Romantica boldly steps up, taking the blame herself, as the instructor just lets out a dismissive humph. He pivots, fixing his gaze on Romantica, and barks out, "Who are you?" A spark of realization ignites in his eyes as her name clicks. He remembers her as a legendary alpha ranker from a previous life. He can't believe it's her, the alpha ranker. Meanwhile, Prue is completely distracted, just thinking, wow, she's so tall. Desser, watching the whole scene unfold, can't help but wonder if this means they're about to get recruited. The instructor reaches out to Romantica, calling her name with a sudden shift in tone. He finally introduces himself as Professor Kurt, declaring that he's officially her professor from this moment forward. He lets out a dismissive humph. With a sudden shift in demeanor. Radioria's jaw drops at the mention of the League of Ten party. Still reeling, she demands to know more about this Blue Moon Guild. And it's no joke, the Blue Moon Party is the powerhouse of Hawkeye-on Academy. He admits it's a sudden move. Her eyes cast down in contemplation. The answer is totally obvious, but there's always a catch, right? Desser's hand shoots out, laying down the law. He'll get her into the party, but there's a price. He's got that look in his eye, you know the one. And his hand just casually wraps around Romantica's, like it's no big deal. Romantica's totally flustered, but she can't look away from his gaze. And then he drops the bomb, she's gotta go out with him. A soft rustling sound, then Prue's jaw drops, completely blindsided by the question. He just calmly repeats, I said if you want to go out with me, and Prue's brain short-circuits. An entrance exam is already complicated enough, now this. A hand reaches out to her. And she's totally caught off guard, stammering for a moment to think. Gee, give me some time. I'll need some time to think about this. He just grins, totally confident, and tells her, haha, of course. I'm a gentleman. Her hand pulls back, and he smoothly adds, it would be nice if you considered this. A hand dramatically unveils an ornamental sword, declaring it a custom from his kingdom, a special gift for someone truly favored. With a subtle twist, a soft click rings out, and something incredible is revealed within its ornate hilt. Prue's jaw drops, her eyes practically popping out as she sees it. But wait, there's more. A stunning golden necklace, sparkling with a mysterious charm, is then offered, a grand gesture of true sincerity. Prue hesitantly reaches for the dazzling gift, whispering that he really doesn't need to go all out like this. And of course, a crowd has formed, with one snobbish student yelling for all the commoners to get lost. Prue stares at the necklace, a deep blush spreading across her face as she tries to comprehend this wild turn of events. Later, Desser is practically glowing with satisfaction next to a still blushing Prue, as another student can't help but remark on his insane popularity. Completely overwhelmed, Prue retreats, collapsing to the floor with a quiet ooh. And a secret thought, she's totally thrilled he likes her. Prue is still processing everything, but Desser isn't letting up, standing right in front of her with that intense look. He's got this fancy box, and he just straight up asks her, what do you want? Her eyes go wide, a mix of shock and annoyance hitting her all at once. And Desser just keeps going, his voice totally steady, I'm giving you the same deal as that other guy. Prue flinches back, her face twisting in pure disgust as she shouts, EW. I'm never going out with a guy like you. Ever. He just brushes off her anger, leaning in a bit, still super calm, seriously, cut the jokes. I'm not playing around. Then he gets straight to the point, a little impatient, I've got a proposition. He reaches out his hand to her, like he's totally serious. And he doubles down on his offer, really selling it, if you weren't into my offer, do you honestly think I'd get anywhere? Prue was slumped over her desk, caught between the glory of an elite alpha party and the obscurity of a beta party, created by someone unknown. Desser loomed over her, making his bold offer to join his party, demanding an immediate decision. She shot up, utterly exasperated, wondering if he even grasped the gravity of her words. But he remained unyielding, extending a hand with a mysterious letter, challenging her to just take a look. Prue, intrigued despite herself, snatched the letter, demanding to know its purpose. Her face twisted in pure disdain, mocking the archaic practice of writing letters in this day and age. She defiantly warned him that if he dared ignore her feelings, he would face the consequences. Then, with an intense gaze, Desser dropped the bombshell, that letter held all her deepest secrets. Her world shattered as her eyes flew open in utter disbelief. Prue is frozen, perched on the desk, her mind reeling from the bombshell Desser just dropped. Then, a sudden, jarring force hits her. And Desser's voice cuts through the chaos, demanding if she's ready to talk now. She's on the floor, staring up at him in utter shock. As he brandishes the letter, twisting the knife by revealing it holds not just her secrets, but her ultimate weaknesses. Prue's mind screams, what? He brushes off her protests, declaring he's not obsessed with her, but she knows exactly why she's here. Her face twists, a horrifying realization dawning on her. Prue is absolutely fuming, cornering Desser with a furious "you." He quickly tries to de-escalate, suggesting they take their explosive conversation outside, away from prying eyes. Grabbing her hand, he pulls her along, making it clear this is a top-secret discussion. They quickly find a secluded spot amidst the trees. Prue is still venting her frustration, but Desser drops a bombshell. Most of the professors are already in on the secret. That just fuels her fire, and she snaps back, demanding to know why else he be stuck in the beta class. She's absolutely livid, screaming about the academy being hundreds of miles from her home, the Prillas Kingdom, a detail that leaves Desser utterly stunned. Desser drops more bombshells, revealing Prue's campus tour is over and she's free to handle her own business. He lays out the shocking truth: her family, once nobodies, became dukes in the Pralesia Kingdom, all thanks to a title she earned. Taking it all in, Prue can barely believe it, asking if this all went down when she was just 10. She points out that her family's rise was just the beginning of her nightmare, then nervously seeks confirmation. Desser confirms it, but drops another bomb: it's not just her noble status, but the fact her family were commoners. And get this, Professor Nefelica, the Blue Moon class head, is all about protecting the true bloodlines. Prue's face twists in anger, declaring Professor Nefelica hates commoners, but she's convinced Donghun's got her back. Desser's eyes narrow, calling her out. He implies if she really knew how Donghun treated commoners, she'd know better than to trust him. Then, a tidal wave of emotion hits Prue, her eyes going wide as she chokes out, "Filthy commoners," a tear forming as Desser's hand reaches for her. She crumbles to the ground, totally overwhelmed, and Desser just stands there, asking her what her next move is. Prue glares up, her eyes blazing with fresh anger and resolve, starting to challenge him. Does he really think that by forcing her into his party, everything's just gonna be fine? After her fiery challenge, Desser drops a bombshell, declaring, "All right, 1 month. That's all I'm giving you. 1 month to prove yourself." Turning his back, he lays down the terms: spend a month with us. If you still can't stand it, you're free to walk away. No strings attached. Prue's mind races, a storm of doubt brewing. This guy. Absolutely untrustworthy. He abruptly halts, offering a hand, and she can only manage, "Huh? What's going on?" His response is blunt: "It's a handshake, obviously." With a flicker of uncertainty, she clasps his hand, a quiet admission escaping her lips: "I'm not sure about this." The scene shifts to the imposing academy grounds. Prue's face contorts in pure revulsion at her meal. Ugh, no. This is absolutely disgusting. Despite her protests, she takes a bite, a silent question hanging in the air: seriously, how do people even eat this stuff? Desser just chills, chowing down on his food like it's no big deal, even saying it's way better than some gross orc meat. But Prue. She's totally grossed out, wondering if they're actually serving up orc meat. You. Desser throws out a hand, dropping a truth bomb: forming a party is seriously tough. He breaks down the current struggle, pointing out they need at least 3 members for an official party, and there are already some seriously skilled groups in the beta class. Prue just stares, and Desser's like, "So, got anything to say about all this?" He takes a beat, totally reading her expression. Then she calls him out, saying he's acting all concerned about the party, even though she totally shot down the idea before. Prue's face goes bright red, totally busted by his blunt question about her joining the party. She screams, denying everything, swearing her interest is only for the party, not for herself. Romantica is absolutely fuming, demanding to know why Desser is so shocked about her party invite, but he fires back, incredulous that he's the one stuck with all the responsibility. But she quickly shuts him down, revealing she's already got a professor's sign-off for a whole month, and they just need 1 more member to seal the deal. Of course, getting the green light was always a big deal, a formal process handled directly by the academy. Strolling through the academy, Romantica can't shake her annoyed look as she follows Desser. The big question looms: who's the mystery person Desser's thinking of for their squad? It's Pram. The classrooms, usually buzzing with activity, are now eerily quiet, a stark silence hanging in the air. The main academy building, with its empty halls and old desks, just feels abandoned. Desser and Prue, surrounded by other students, are absolutely repulsed, all agreeing that the main building's faculty is just plain awful. Prue can't believe they're stuck with combined lectures for alpha and beta classes, and Desser, though agreeing the place is rough, finds the whole bizarre situation surprisingly interesting. Romantica's on the hunt for a new party member, pressing Desser for details and demanding to know his name. And the name is dropped: Pram Schneider. This guy's a certified swordmaster, having survived a full year in the brutal shadow world, a feat almost unheard of. His raw talent and insane dedication forged him into a master of the blade. One look at his technique and you'd know he's the real deal. Desser drops the bombshell: Pram is probably the most gifted student in the entire beta class, and Romantica is instantly hyped to finally meet this legend. But just as they're talking, Pram himself, as if on cue, senses something and remarks, "Oh, speak of the devil." He glances up, a curious escaping his lips, clearly wondering who's about to make an entrance. A young woman with jet black hair and glowing red eyes is absolutely captivated, her mind blown by the sheer cuteness she's witnessing. She can't even handle it, declaring with absolute conviction that this tiny blue-haired legend in suspenders is the cutest thing ever, and she's ready to drop all her savings just to adopt him. But hold up, the blue-haired prodigy isn't just standing around, he's already on top of a wooden structure, looking up with an intense, focused stare. His bright blue eyes are wide with awe, taking in something incredible. Suddenly, a pale hand reaches in from the side, moving towards the wooden platform. But then, in a flash, the blue-haired boy is gripping a massive wooden sword with fierce determination, leaving the adoring woman in the background utterly shocked. A gray-haired young man's eyes pop wide open, utterly stunned by the mention of a long sword. But another student, a brown-haired kid, immediately shuts him down, flat out refusing to trust anyone from the beta class. Elsewhere, a red-haired student is already throwing daggers with his eyes at a blue-haired boy, the tension practically crackling in the air. The blue-haired boy, Pram Schneezer, bravely declares his beta class status, but the red-haired student just scoffs, swearing he'd never protect a weakling like him. With tensions boiling over, the gray-haired protagonist takes charge, barking out an order for everyone to arm themselves. But the red-haired student just laughs, grabbing his crimson sword hilt, taunting them to know the difference before he strikes. He lunges, sword flashing towards Pram Schneezer, but the gray-haired protagonist is faster, a blur of motion as he cuts him off. A sickening crunch rings out, and the red-haired student's face twists in shock and agony. The gray-haired protagonist unleashes a devastating counter, sending the red-haired student flying while Pram Schneezer is left reeling on the floor. He watches, a cold fury building, as the red-haired student, a vicious smirk plastered on his face, unleashes a devastating blow that sends Pram Schneezer absolutely flying, the blue-haired boy's scream echoing through the air. Pram is sent careening through the air, a helpless blur against the unforgiving terrain. The red-haired student just sighs in utter contempt, his hand now revealing the brutal, spiked gauntlet that delivered the crushing blow. Desser analyzes the sloppy, brute force attack, a critical thought forming, why isn't this guy using his real power? As the red-haired student winds up for another brutal assault, Desser remains a statue, his eyes laser-focused. The bully explodes forward, his spiked gauntlet a deadly blur, heading straight for the defenseless Pram. His arm arcs with maximum force, a clear, brutal intent to utterly crush his opponent. But before that devastating blow can even connect, Desser is a blur of motion, intercepting the red-haired student with a lightning-fast counter that sends him stumbling back in utter disbelief. Desser's speed is absolutely insane. The red-haired student is left scrambling, desperately trying to find any opening against this sudden, overwhelming force. The red-haired bully, fueled by rage, screams, "If I can't find one, I'll just have to make one," as he launches a vicious aerial assault. But before the bully can even connect, Desser's eyes ignite with an electric blue, a blur of motion as he snaps, "Now." His hand becomes a lightning-fast blur, a perfect counterstrike, and the bully realizes too late, it was a trap. A devastating impact sends the bully flying, a guttural, ACK, ripped from him as Desser's blue energy explodes on contact. The sheer power of the counter sends the bully's giant wooden sword spiraling, catapulting it into the clouds. Pram, still on the floor, stares up, utterly stunned, as the fight takes an unexpected turn. His eyes fall, a quiet resignation in his voice as he concedes, "It's my loss." The bully, seething with rage, points at Desser, snarling, "You interrupted my duel. You'll regret this." Desser, unfazed, simply states, "I'm not interested." But Desser ignores the bully's threats, his focus shifting entirely to Pram, a soft, Pram, leaving his lips. He's still reeling, wondering why they were kept in the dark about the dragon's existence before it was taken down. Seriously, a dragon appearing for the first time in human history, and they kept it quiet? But before he can dwell on it, he unleashes a swift move, slamming the red-haired punk against the wall with a resounding SLN. A devastating punch lands square on the blue-haired student's face, blood exploding as he's rocked by the force. The red-haired bully looms over his downed opponent, a cruel smirk on his face, taunting him about what he thinks he's doing, then spitting out insults about filthy beta bastards. Both students are now down, but the bully isn't done, he keeps going, ranting about how disgusting they are and how their problems don't matter. He barks at them to shut their mouths, promising more pain if they don't know their place. But then, Desser arrives, his presence instantly changing the atmosphere as he confronts the bully, while the blue-haired student can only manage a pained groan from the ground. The blue-haired student is absolutely crushed, her face a mask of pure disappointment. But the red-haired bully is just getting started, towering over Pram, mocking his alpha-class pride and asking why he'd ever sink to a beta-class student's level. His eyes are literally burning with a furious, purple-red glow. He strikes, hitting the blue-haired student with a brutal force that sends her flying, just as Desser makes his dramatic entrance. A massive slam rocks the entire area. She's down, her face already a mess of bruises and a bloody nose, as a single drop of blood hits the floor. The bully winds up for another devastating hit. But just before it connects, Desser swoops in, blocking his path. The blue-haired student, barely hanging on, tries to utter a word, but Desser takes charge, shutting down the bully with a fierce declaration that he has no right. The red-haired bully screams a death threat, but before he can even land a blow, Desser's eyes ignite with electric blue power, his counter-threat hitting harder. "I'll kill you? No, you're the one who's about to get wiped out." The bully is absolutely floored by Desser's audacity, stuttering out a furious, "Try me, human," as Desser just lets out a calm, "Who?" Ready to throw down. The bully, trying to save face, shouts that the fight's already done, but Desser, with those glowing blue eyes, just deadpans, "What else do you need?" That's it. Desser's calm defiance pushes the bully over the edge, his face twisting into a terrifying snarl, veins popping, and those red eyes practically spitting fire. But just like that, it's done. The bully is suddenly on the floor, totally blindsided, a look of stunned déjà vu on his face as he whispers, "I've felt this before." His mind spirals, desperately trying to pin the blame on someone, anyone, and he flashes back to his family's mansion, seething about some commoner who ruined everything. The flashback just makes him even angrier, his fist clenching with a furious "Joem" as he keeps blaming that commoner for everything. He glares up from the ground, only to see Desser still towering over him, those piercing blue eyes radiating pure dominance. The bully lets out an annoyed "TOH," calling Desser irritating, but Desser just coolly retorts that he's lucky no professor saw that pathetic performance. Defeated and fuming, the red-haired bully seethes, cursing his opponent, as the blue-haired student lies injured, comforted by Prue. Later, Desser, Romantica, and the blue-haired student are gathered, and she asks, seriously, what kind of person is he? Desser carefully bandages her leg, but the blue-haired student can't help but wince, her wound still throbbing. He calmly reassures her, "Don't worry. Your wound won't hurt much longer." With a final, precise nod, he declares the job done. But her relief is short-lived as she voices her real concern, "Because of your intervention, my status has been reduced to a commoner in daily life." Desser, however, remains completely unfazed, declaring, "Don't worry. I will do whatever I can to take responsibility for this situation." He tells her it's all good, but she's still totally weighed down, convinced she's dragged him into her mess and made his life way harder. Her eyes go wide, totally shocked by his pure kindness. He then drops the idea of proper intros, and the blue-haired student spills her name, Pram Schneezer, telling him to just call her Pram. With Romantica watching, Desser introduces himself as Desser Armin, super stoked to meet Mr. Schneezer. Pram instantly corrects him, demanding he use her first name, and Desser, still trying to be all formal, hilariously stumbles, Okay, so. Mr. Pram." She doubles down on the no formality rule, and he finally gives in, agreeing they can just call each other Pram. He lets out a little chuckle, making Pram ask, "Dude, why are you laughing?" He brushes it off, saying he just remembered something, and Pram, watching him, starts to feel like she can really trust this guy. With a super serious look, Pram thanks him for literally everything he did for her today, swearing to pay him back and telling him to hit her up if he ever needs anything. After her heartfelt thanks, Pram, with a hint of shyness, asks if she can make a request. Desser, ever the confident leader, immediately gives his full permission, telling her to ask away. Blushing slightly, she then drops the bombshell, "Can I join your party?" Desser, momentarily stunned, quickly recovers and shouts, "Yes. I'll join your party." And just like that, the deal is done, a powerful new alliance forged. Pram's totally freaking out about a past screw-up in the hallway, but Desser just chills him out, reminding him he's leveled up past noob status. Then, a loud knock from a door just shatters the calm, and this stunning woman with fiery orange hair and golden eyes just pops up, dropping a casual, "Pardon our intrusion." She glides into the doorway, locking eyes with Desser, and drops the bombshell that she's been waiting for him this whole time. She's absolutely owning the entrance, rocking a sleek orange dress and killer heels that scream confidence. A knowing smirk graces her face, as she coolly remarks, "Yeah, it's been a minute," like she's got all the secrets. Cut to them chilling at a table, and she's totally hyping Desser up, telling him he crushed it and there's zero to stress about. Pram, now in on the convo, jumps in with the same vibe, making sure Desser knows he's got nothing to worry about. He hangs on every word as the orange-haired woman drops a bombshell. His mistake wasn't a mistake at all, but a next-level magic play that most couldn't even grasp. But Desser isn't buying it, staring down at his teacup, still burdened by his choices, even as she tries to pump him up, reminding him that even the best mages mess up, and he's still leveling up. He can't help but wonder if he actually pulled it off. The orange-haired woman flashes a reassuring smile, telling him to chill out, while Pram chimes in with his own quiet backing, confirming Desser absolutely crushed it. She doubles down, telling him to ditch the humility. Her words hit different, making him snap his head up, a shockwave of surprise hitting him as she doubles down, saying he absolutely blew her expectations out of the water. The sheer intensity of her praise, mixed with his own inner turmoil, unleashes a raw emotional surge, his eyes blazing with a terrifying crimson light as he battles the demons of his past. Snapping back to reality, he hears the orange-haired woman playfully tell him to chug his tea before it freezes, casually mentioning these leaves were a rare find. Pram, always the loyal wingman, backs her up. The heavy vibe finally breaks, replaced by a chill atmosphere as the trio keeps chatting. The orange-haired woman beams, her face radiating pure satisfaction as she doubles down on how proud she is of his progress. Desser, finally taking their words to heart, offers a simple, genuine thank you, feeling the massive burden on his shoulders finally start to melt away. His eyes narrow, a flicker of past events crossing his mind, and he mutters a quick, pardon me. The orange-haired woman, sipping her drink, lays out her ambitious plan, declaring she's taking the promotional exam with her crew to blast into the Alpha class. A fierce resolve burns in her gaze. She challenges him, reminding him it's a tough road and asking if he's ready for it. His response is cool and confident, of course. Pram watches intently as Desser leans in, seeking more details, demanding to know exactly what she means by advancing into the Alpha class. She breaks it down. The academy runs on a brutal ranking system, and a single promotional test decides everything. It's a two-stage gauntlet, only the top 60 make it through the first round, then they're thrown into a Tier 5 shadow world for a high-stakes mission. Your score in this test locks you into Beta or Alpha class, but for Desser, just getting into Alpha is a total snoozefest. He's not just aiming for Alpha, he's gunning for the absolute top, to seize the ultimate, top ranker, title. Prue stares at him, a mix of curiosity and apprehension on her face, needing to know if she heard him right. He locks eyes with her, his resolve absolutely unshaken, and just confirms it. Prue is absolutely floored, her eyes popping wide as his words hit her, a massive ba-bang echoing her shock. She practically lunges across the table, her voice practically screaming, reminding him how insane it is just to make Beta class, and how Alpha students already treat them like targets. Pram, looking totally defeated, chimes in with his own grim reality check, detailing how Alpha class students can literally do whatever they want to Beta students, and there's nothing anyone can do about it. His eyes narrow, hammering home the brutal truth, Alpha students will literally try to take them out just because they're Beta. The orange-haired woman coolly backs up this grim assessment, confirming that just being a Beta class student automatically puts a target on your back for the Alphas. She then drops the bomb, that's exactly why they have to go for a single ranker spot, while Pram, still totally shocked, can't believe Desser is serious about this. Pram, practically begging, pleads with Desser to rethink his plan, and even the orange-haired woman gives him a look, wondering what he's thinking as a Beta class student. Desser is all ears as the orange-haired woman lays out the harsh truth, Beta class students are always getting targeted by Alpha class members, stuck with ridiculous titles. These comments, she points out, are just excuses to justify the discrimination, making sure there are no consequences, and his eyes narrow, absorbing every word. She keeps going, declaring that if they pull off their goal, they could totally flip the script on this whole discrimination system. Her gaze getting super intense. And then, the orange-haired woman finally gives the green light for Desser to form his party, with all four of them now chilling around a table. But hold up, she adds, before she gives her full blessing, there are a few things she needs to get off her chest. Prue and Pram, the students, are hanging on her every word. The orange-haired woman declares she'll need their consent, especially after hearing Desser's wild proposal. With a piercing stare, she asks if he's still in to join her party. Get ready to witness the sheer scale of Ryan Academy's training center. Massive outdoor arenas are packed with colossal, blue-armored training constructs, ready for action. This isn't just any training ground, it's the ultimate combat preparation zone, built to push students beyond their limits. From intense hot training arenas to epic large-scale battle simulations, they've got every single combat scenario covered. Prue is absolutely blown away, staring at the screen in awe at the sheer size of this place, but she's also bummed that only the Alpha class gets to use this incredible training ground. Seriously, the Alpha class students are living the dream, with exclusive access to all the most advanced training facilities. Heading further into the complex, a hallway takes us straight to the top floor of the training center. Out of nowhere, a blue-haired student screams, utterly flabbergasted by the chaos. High above the massive training grounds, Desser can't believe they're using this place, but Romantica just shrugs it off, saying it's nothing compared to what's next. The blue-haired student's eyes are practically popping out of her head in pure terror, letting out a horrified shriek. Pram looks worried as she freaks out, desperately asking what's going on, feeling something seriously wrong. She hunches down, pointing at the floor, where mysterious glowing particles are starting to appear. Pram just stares, his face giving nothing away. Meanwhile, Prue is totally pushing the red-haired bully, telling him he'll totally get those rats even as he screams about being shoved. He's clutching his phone, convinced he's a goner, but Prue just chills and tells him he'll be fine. Back at the training center, Desser and Pram are on their knees, staring at this super cool, glowing blue crystal on the ground. A burning question hung heavy, why were they kept in the dark about this crucial intel before taking down the dragon? With the shocking truth revealing it was the first dragon kill in all of human history. From their vantage point, Desser and Romantica watched the training grounds below, where raw, built-up mana was exploding with incredible force. But then, chaos erupted. A grotesque monster with blazing red eyes and razor-sharp fangs appeared, unleashing a blood-curdling shriek as it charged Pram and another student, who let out a desperate cry. The creature's colossal, clawed arm shot up, poised to obliterate the blue-haired student, whose terrified scream ripped through the air. After the terrifying encounter, Romantica was a wreck, clutching onto Desser with tears streaming down her face while Pram watched, worried, asking if she was okay. All she could manage was a choked, tearful, "No." Still utterly distraught, she cried out, "You're not going to let go," while a mysterious, glowing blue crystal rested on the floor nearby. With a heavy sigh, she finally gave in. I guess this leaves us with no choice." Desser, his face set with resolve, calmly told her, "Romantica, I'll handle the cleanup." Shaken to her core by the monster's rampage, Romantica clutches Desser, her terrified screams echoing as she vows to stay put, no matter the cost. With a steely gaze, he makes a snap decision. Desser declares his intent to utilize this very spot. A heart-wrenching sob escapes Romantica, her fear still raw and overwhelming. Not far off, Pram is visibly distraught, his head bowed in utter dejection. Desser moves to his side, and Pram, looking up, gratefully acknowledges his presence. The duo springs into action, tackling the monster's mess, cleaning up until the entire place is spotless. Pram playfully whines as Desser messes with his hair, claiming he could have done more, but Desser just brushes it off, telling him not to sweat it. With a cute pout, Pram grumbles about Desser's endless hovering, but then quickly backtracks, admitting he appreciates the worry. Cleanup mission accomplished. Desser gives the all-clear, and Pram immediately jumps at the chance for a relaxing bath. With the monster attack behind them, Desser and Pram dive straight into intense training, and Desser's voice rings out, "We're starting our training right now." Pram, clearly pushed to his limits, can't help but complain, "You're making me do this again. Seriously, your persistence is unreal." Elsewhere, Romantica is isolated, grappling with her own insecurities, a bitter thought echoing, "I'm the only one left behind. No matter what I do, I'm still weaker than him." While the others push their limits, Romantica shivers with a sneeze, feeling completely isolated. A frustrated sigh escapes her, as she thinks, this is seriously annoying. But then, a spark ignites within her, and she makes a firm decision, "I will join Desser's party." The Academy's imposing structure looms. Romantica, now determined, acknowledges her previous resistance, muttering, "It hasn't been long since I refused to join, but I'm already regretting it. Ugh." And as she finally joins them, Desser, ever pragmatic, declares, "All right. Let's do it. We're starting our training right now." Desser reveals their new HQ, declaring it will be both their training area and their office. Prue spots something on the ground, shouting, "I found it," but then immediately questions what it even is. Desser confirms her find, grabbing the orb and declaring it's for their training, as Prue hilariously asks if "hurt" is even a thing for it. He then drops the bomb, telling her the real focus needs to be her magic casting speed. Prue, with a sassy grin, fires back, reminding him that if he's talking about her casting speed, he already knows it's lightning fast, since he saw it at the entrance exam. Desser can only agree, admitting her casting speed was actually pretty solid. He lays it out, even with their current skills, conquering the Alpha class exams will be a brutal challenge. The Alpha class students are evolving at an insane pace, shattering all expectations. Romantica, stunned, asks if he's demanding they level up their skills in a flash, and he hits her with a resounding, "Absolutely." Her jaw drops, utterly shocked. Desser reveals a mysterious sphere, declaring it the key to their new training, where they'll master the impossible, simultaneous casting. Romantica's mind races, asking if he means casting multiple spells at once, and he confirms her wildest thoughts. The secret is unveiled, normal magic needs a chant, but simultaneous casting unleashes power instantly, no incantation required. Romantica can barely believe it, having never witnessed such a feat in her life. Desser drives the point home, admitting that no one, not even the prodigious Romantica, has ever pulled it off. Desser drops a bombshell, revealing the secret to instant magic, simultaneous casting, no chance needed. Romantica's mind is blown, her face a mix of shock and disbelief. She fires back, "All right, what's the game plan, then?" Suddenly, a small, glowing orb appears between them, and Romantica can't help but blurt out, "What is that?" Pointing directly at it, she exclaims, "That ball." Desser, ever calm, simply tells her to get it over to the circle. Romantica's eyes are glued to the orb as Desser keeps dropping knowledge, admitting that simultaneous casting sounds utterly insane, but it's the real deal. He breaks it down, this orb isn't just for show, it's a direct window into her mana flow, a visual guide for the impossible. Romantica's face contorts with pure effort, muscles tensing as she tries to command the glowing orb, sweat already dripping as she pushes her limits. Her patience snaps, and she yells, "I can't." Desser, unfazed, coolly reminds her that all she's doing is shifting her own mana into the orb, a task that's proving to be a monumental struggle for her. Still locked in a fierce battle with the invisible forces of mana, Romantica lets out a frustrated groan, the sphere stubbornly refusing to budge despite her best efforts. Her focus absolute, she mutters under her breath, commanding the sphere to obey, to ride the currents of the wind. With a fierce scowl of concentration, she pours every ounce of her will into the task, desperate to see the sphere finally yield. Then, a breakthrough. With a barely perceptible tremor, the sphere actually starts to glide across the ground. The sphere finally comes to a halt, and Romantica looks up, a wild mix of shock and fatigue on her face, as Desser coolly remarks, "That wasn't half bad," urging her to repeat the feat. A knowing smirk plays on his face as he takes in her stunned expression, and Romantica, reeling from the unexpected praise, can only manage a delighted giggle. With Romantica's turn concluded, Desser pivots to the next challenger, calling out Pram's name, who snaps to attention, ready for action. But Pram looks unsure, asking what he's supposed to do, confessing his weakness in swordsmanship. Pram's face twists in confusion as Desser calmly declares that he's already a powerful swordsman. Pram's up next, and Desser drops the bomb, "All right, then. Let's start your training now." Pram's ready, but Desser hits him with the ultimate challenge, "That's if you can catch me, of course." Before Pram can even blink, Desser is gone, a total blur, leaving Pram absolutely dumbfounded. He keeps his distance, shouting back, "And that goes for Romantica and your commander, too." Then, bam, he's back, right there, staring at Pram's weapon and dropping the question, "Why are you still holding your rapier?" Pram's eyes go wide, because Desser's hand is just a blur, moving at light speed. And just like that, Desser's behind him, holding Pram's own rapier. Pram is absolutely floored, barely able to get out. "How? How did you know I used my rapier before?" Desser glances at the rapier, then at a stunned Pram, and starts to lay it all out, "So? Do I need to tell you what that is?" "Oh, yeah. I need to tell you. That's the..." A voice cuts through the air, calling out to Desser. And the blue-haired student quickly clarifies his position, insisting it's not about trust, but the fact he's never even met his own dad. He emphasizes the raw truth, he'd never laid eyes on his father, ever. The student then drops a bombshell about his past, his mom was a commoner, his dad a noble, making him an illegitimate kid. Switching gears, he's about to show Desser a mysterious item his father left him. Settled on the couch, the student locks eyes with Desser, poised to unveil the big reveal. He's got something to show, holding up a small, glowing orb and asking if Desser wants a peek. Desser's instantly intrigued, giving a quick yes. And just like that, Pram drops the bombshell, this glowing orb is the item his father left behind. Desser's eyes are locked on it, and he's gotta get a closer look, asking for just a second to check it out. The moment Desser touches it, his jaw drops. He's a top-tier mage, but he's never seen anything like this, realizing the orb's mana is off the charts, way beyond his own power. But Pram's mind drifts, thinking of his mom, convinced she'd be overjoyed and worried to see him. The flashback deepens, showing his mother's kind face, just as he remembers her, ready to embrace him. He sees her holding him as a tiny baby, her loving, worried words playing back in his head. The scene changes to a heart-to-heart with his mom, who asks if he still misses his dad, then lays down the law, never go looking for him, and little Pram just nods, "Yes, mother." Back to reality, Pram's face is clouded with sadness, but his mom's loving voice cuts through, reminding him, "I still love you very much." Young Pram, absolutely devastated, makes a heartbreaking vow to his dying mother. Even on her deathbed, his mother held on to a massive secret, refusing to name his father. He knew the harsh truth, illegitimate kids got zero respect, treated like nobodies, even in elite schools. Pram's mom, glowing even in his memories, had explicitly told him not to chase his noble roots, a warning that haunted him even after she was gone. But he defied her. He hit up Hebrian Academy, desperate for any lead on his dad, even with her warning screaming in his head. His mission was simple, find his dad. He figured if he could just track down his old club or crew, he'd crack the whole mystery. No other options left, he grabbed the only thing his dad ever gave him, a rapier, praying it held the key. But when he finally checked out the blade, he found something totally mind-blowing. The hilt wasn't packing a mana stone, but some other, totally unknown power source. His mind races, consumed by the man his mother abandoned her for, a figure he absolutely loathes, and the memory of his lost mother. With tears streaming down his face, he remembers the rapier, a relic his father left behind, something his mother cherished more than him, he believed. His grip clenches on the hilt, a raw, emotional power radiating from him with a resounding quang. He used to rage, screaming that it was just a worthless piece of junk, taak. A hollow, dismissive laugh escapes him, the frustration still palpable. Heh. His gaze is fixed on the weapon, a silent contemplation. The rapier, once a symbol of abandonment, now gleams with a hidden potential. He'd written it off as unsellable trash, a burden he couldn't even get rid of. But as the rapier ignites with a brilliant, otherworldly glow, Pram Schneezer finally understands, his past judgment was dead wrong. Pram's brain just went into overdrive, connecting the dots from his past life to this moment. This rapier. It's way more important than he ever thought. Then, it hits him like a lightning bolt. This is the legendary, Silverlight rapier he knew from his past. He's seen this blade before, a ghost of a memory from his old life. The rapier flares with an otherworldly glow, solidifying his memory of its insane power. Pram, where are you? Then, a small, uncertain voice answers back, Huh. I am right here. Desser confronts him, pressing again, Pram, can I see that paper again? But the kid just shuts down, looking away. Why? I don't want to talk about it anymore. Reading the room, Desser tries a softer approach. Look, I get it, this is a tough ask. But even if no one saw it before, can you just show it to me one more time? Pram just stays quiet, his eyes avoiding Desser's, clearly deep in thought. He just couldn't do it, his voice barely a whisper as he begged for understanding. But Desser wasn't backing down, pushing to see it again, even for a second. Yet, the young man was firm, he was done talking about it. It was totally impossible, he explained, to show him that rapier again, that legendary blade. He'd already sold it. Suddenly, they were in the Wyden Academy's market district, a total sensory overload. What a change of pace. Desser was deep in thought, remembering his past life, all that darkness, pain, and regret, and knew this was his one shot to make things right. Pram pointed down a sketchy alley, promising Desser the buyer was right there. Desser marched ahead, and Pram scrambled to keep up, nervously confessing he'd never been to a spot like this before. Desser arrives at Wujukan's antique shop, the place where the rapier was sold. A sign warns of a brutal no-refund policy, making him instantly realize just how greedy this place is. But Pram, still haunted by his past, makes a solemn vow, he'll never touch that rapier again. While Desser focuses, peering into a shadowy alley. A blinding golden light erupts from an opening deep inside the passage. And with Pram guiding the charge, they push through the hidden path, Desser absolutely certain he'll get that rapier back. They reach an incredibly ornate golden door knocker. Where Pram drops a bombshell, there's an even deeper secret waiting inside. He and Pram stride into the antique shop, immediately hit with a booming welcome from behind the counter, welcome to Wujukan's. The shopkeeper eyes them up and down, then bluntly states, you guys don't look like thieves. He leans back, a silent challenge in his posture. Then, with a puff of smoke, he offers a sarcastic apology for the tight security, blaming a recent surge of thieves for the inconvenience. Wujukan, the man himself, introduces himself with a flourish, then cuts straight to the chase, demanding if they know what went down today, before deciding to just spill the beans himself. He gets right to it, asking if they were the ones who offloaded the rapier, fuming that it had only been a day and his merchant's code kept him from calling the cops. Wujukan's gaze hardens as he lays down the law, no refunds, a policy he'd made crystal clear at the point of sale. But Desser cuts him off, stating he's not here for a handout, he's here to buy it back. Wujukan's face splits into a wide, booming laugh. Desser gripped the rapier, its sleek design a total standout in the dusty shop, taking in Wujukan's intense declaration. He totally got Wujukan's vibe, knowing that for a true merchant, a gift was a gift, no matter where it came from, and that this blade's real worth was way more than just some silver. Wujukan, now with the rapier in hand, double-checked Desser's plan, making sure he really wanted to buy it back. Looking super serious, the shop owner dropped the price bomb, 40 silver pieces. He laid out the deal, sure, he only paid 1 silver for it way back when, but now he knew its real value, and his merchant's honor wouldn't let him sell it cheap. Wujukan's face twisted in pure frustration, remembering how he got played last time, and there was no way he was letting that happen again. Desser, with Pram right there, thought about the deal, admitting that even 40 silver pieces was a pretty sweet offer for that kind of item. Wujukan, totally unyielding, stressed that if he'd known its real worth back then, he never would have sold it, making his price non-negotiable. Even with the crazy price and Wujukan's iron will, Desser's face set with pure resolve, confirming he was buying that rapier no matter what. Wujukan is absolutely ecstatic, practically gloating that he could have squeezed even more out of the deal. But Pram's got a bad feeling about this, just wanting Desser to grab the blade and go. Desser finally gets his hands on the rapier, declaring he won't be using it personally, but demanding trust anyway. Then, he spots something weird, a deep groove on the rapier, like it's begging for a finger to be inserted. He pushes his finger in, and with a satisfying click, the rapier reveals a secret, leaving him stunned. Desser and Pram are checking out this crazy sword when suddenly, a sharp click rings out. And Desir's jaw drops. He can't believe his eyes. Is that seriously another blade hidden inside? And boom! A secret blade pops out of the hilt, proving his crazy theory right. There was a hidden blade in there the whole time. Pram's looking a bit bummed, saying this thing is super tough to handle, then drops the bomb. The rapier's real name is Blank Sum. Desir is totally floored by this bombshell, shouting, "Did you just say Blank Sum?" in pure shock. Cut to Desir cornering Woojukan, who's now on the ground, and Desir's demanding, "Are you sure it's the Blank Sum? This Blank Sum material is no joke, it's supposedly way tougher than steel. This isn't just any blade. It's Blank Sum, a legendary material, tougher than steel but light as a feather, making it an absolute game-changer." Pram, with the rapier in hand, immediately knows what it is, confirming its legendary status. Desir, locking eyes with the shopkeeper, tells Pram to get ready, because things are about to get real. Woojukan, the shopkeeper, is totally caught off guard, as Desir calls him out for trying to pull a fast one with a fake. Desir's tone is ice-cold as he demands the rapier, no questions asked. Pram can only watch the escalating tension, calling out to Desir, clearly worried. Woojukan, still sprawled on the floor, spits out that Desir is way more trouble than he ever bargained for. He then tries to play it cool, claiming he knew the rapier's true worth, but Desir instantly shuts him down, exposing his attempt to sell it for pennies. With one last, cutting remark, Desir makes it crystal clear, their business is done. He's not backing down, pressing the shopkeeper on why they were kept in the dark about the dragon, but Woojukan fires back, reminding him this was literally the first dragon in human history. Woojukan's face twists in pure fury, spitting out, "You little brat." But Desir, cool as ice, just says he's giving Woojukan a taste of his own medicine. Still absolutely fuming, Woojukan barks, "Open the door. We're leaving." He's done with this. Woojukan's rage is about to explode, but then, a cold, hard command from the owner slams into his mind, forcing him to freeze. The mental battle shatters him, and Woojukan crashes to the ground, utterly broken, whispering, "You know. I shouldn't have done that." He writhes, paralyzed, while Desir looms above him, a stone-cold gaze fixed on the fallen shopkeeper. Still sprawled on the floor, Woojukan is utterly bewildered, muttering, "My attack. Why did I even try?" He's completely defeated, stuck on the floor, unable to even twitch a muscle. He watches the young man, who hesitates, asking if they should really stop. Desir assures him that it's fine, that he'll be safe. With a firm stance, Desir declares that he won't go easy on anyone. Pram, looking up at him, confirms his understanding. Desir then asks if he wants to see them again, causing Pram to flinch in surprise, a small gasp escaping him. He then bows slightly, acknowledging Desir's words and stating that he'll be in his care as a party member. Suddenly, a hulking, muscular figure appears, drawing a massive broadsword with a sharp, metallic scrape, its blade glinting menacingly. Both Pram and Desir recoil in shock, their faces contorted in alarm as the unexpected assailant lunges, a desperate cry escaping Pram's lips. The broadsword descends with brutal force, but Pram manages to intercept the blow with his own blade, the impact sending a jarring shockwave through the air. Overwhelmed by the sudden assault, Pram quickly retreats, darting away from the powerful attacker. He was absolutely going all out now, his movements totally different from his usual longsword style. He probably wouldn't need to jump in, but the tension was still sky high. But the enemy's massive axe, a pure power move, was swung with insane strength, total barbarian style. They were all about that physical power, pure muscle, zero magic. The fight was heating up, and Desir's focus was laser-sharp. Pram was a blue streak, a total blur of motion, dodging those heavy hits with insane speed. Desir's eyes started to glow blue, his magic kicking in to analyze the whole chaotic scene. He watched Pram's moves, a smirk on his face, totally impressed by the kid's progress. Then, the barbarian's voice roared from above, straight up challenging Pram, warrior's pride. "Don't you dare look down." Pram's been grinding hard, pushing his limits. But even after all that intense training, he's still struggling to master the insane speed he needs. But elsewhere, a massive barbarian, tribal markings blazing across his face, unleashes a primal scream, hyped and ready to throw down. He's already sizing up his foe, a smirk on his face, mocking them as a tiny warrior. A monstrous roar rips through the air, a colossal creature of rock and fury letting out a primal scream. But before it can even react, Desir Herman is already a blur, his blade flashing down with insane speed. The impact explodes, sending blood and rock fragments everywhere, a devastating hit against that monster's thick skin. The monster's eyes bug out in pure shock, a single thought screaming through its mind, "He's so fast." But before it can even blink, the warrior unleashes a relentless, brutal assault, a whirlwind of precise slashes ripping it apart. Then, with one last, decisive move, his sword ignites with a brilliant blue glow, delivering the ultimate, crushing final blow. Desser Herman is an absolute blur, a whirlwind of motion against the massive, rock-skinned monster, his fighting style so fast it completely defies his size. His eyes, razor-sharp and locked on, track every single move, every opening, with pinpoint precision. Then, a swift, decisive stomp, his foot slamming down hard onto the monster. He closes the gap instantly, grappling the beast in a vice-like hold, moving too fast for it to even register. Suddenly, blue lightning erupts from his hands, surging into the monster with absolutely devastating force. The monster can't keep up, its senses completely overwhelmed by the relentless assault. It can't track his movements as he dances around it, a whirlwind of low-power, high-speed attacks. A guttural, pained grunt rips from the creature as Desser's relentless barrage just keeps coming. Its face twists in pure agony, eyes blazing red with fury and pain from every single impact. Even against the monster's raw power, Desser's mind is already working, realizing he'd found the critical weakness to exploit, a true testament to his cunning and sheer will to win, even without a power advantage. A shocking revelation. Someone demands to know why they were kept in the dark about the dragon's death, only to be told it was an unprecedented event, the first dragon ever slain in human history. Back in the present, a young warrior, rapier in hand, grapples with intense self-doubt, questioning if his blade is even capable of taking down a barbarian. But then, a piercing blue glow erupts from his mentor's eye, a sharp command cutting through the chaos: stop. Focus, Pram. Pram, still reeling from the thought of the barbarian leader, clenches his jaw, his determination hardening. I must take him down. The battle rages. Desser unleashes a torrent of blue magic, while Pram, with newfound resolve, charges headlong into the massive, roaring white draconic beast. His rapier becomes a blur of motion. Pram feels his blade singing, perfectly attuned to his lightning-fast movements, a surge of pure confidence igniting within him. With unwavering resolve, he declares, I will end this fight with one strike. Meanwhile, the imposing figure from the flashback, ever the strategist, coldly calculates, locate their vital points. Fueled by determination, Pram shouts, I am ready for now. His mind a whirlwind of calculations, he coils, ready to unleash hell. He explodes into action, a lightning-fast blur, his blade a silver streak in the fight. Pushing past every limit, he screams his defiance, proving his humanity against impossible odds. But just as quickly, the tables flip, and he's slammed with a devastating blow, blood exploding on impact. He crashes to the ground, gasping, his weapon useless beside him. Choking and desperate, he fights for every single breath. A shadow looms, asking, you done? Pram can only choke out a ragged gasp. Even beaten, he refuses to break, thinking, I can't fall here. Even after getting absolutely clapped, he's still wondering if he's just not enough. Desser, looking down, was like, did I seriously underestimate this guy's raw power? He clenched his fist, vowing not to let Pram get hurt again. Desser was about to call it, but Pram, still on the ground, shot back, I'm fine. Still on his hands and knees, barely holding on, he looked up at Mr. Desser and insisted, I'm okay. Pram, with a fire in his eyes, declared, I can do this, and Desser just knew it. His eyes, now blazing with an intense blue glow, were pure, unadulterated determination. Desser, watching him, thought, man, this kid is hard to read, but I guess I knew that from the start, didn't I? Then his eyes landed on the rapier in Pram's hand, and he was like, you knew what kind of rapier this was, didn't you? Because those engravings on the handle? They meant something big. Pram's eyes ignite with a fierce blue glow as he fights to get back on his feet, a raw, desperate plea tearing from his throat. He explodes forward, rapier flashing, swearing to repay every single thing that's been done for him. Desser watches him come, a thought flashing through his mind, is he actually going to do something about it? But before that rapier can even touch him, Desser shuts it down with a single, bare hand, a crimson energy flaring from his palm. With a lightning-fast, brutal shove, he shoves the blade back, sending the young fighter flying. The sheer power of that counterattack is insane, red energy practically exploding from Desser's hand as he dominates the exchange. His face stays cool, calm, and collected, completely unfazed by the desperate attack. The force sends Pram absolutely flying, his body spinning through the air as the attack is brutally shut down. High above a glowing chasm, cloaked figures bear witness to an impossible event. One demands to know why they were kept in the dark about the dragon's death, only to be told this was the first time in all of human history a dragon had fallen. The raw, untamed mana explodes from the abyss, making them question if this power even registers on the scale of Tier 7 magic. No, this is beyond magic, beyond comprehension, a force truly incalculable. In a flash, Desser unleashes a lightning-fast strike, a blur of motion and raw power. Landing a devastating blow that sends Pram flying, twisting helplessly in the air. As his opponent is sent sprawling, Desser's voice cuts through the air, a powerful shout of Pram. Pram scrambles, bewildered, from the dirt, staring up at Desser, who looms over him with an unspoken challenge. But before Pram can even react, Desser strikes again, a blinding white aura erupting from his hand. Desser's hand closes in, and Pram, shocked, can only shout, "I'm in charge with this one." The white blue energy blast absolutely engulfs Pram, sending him flying backward from the sheer, overwhelming force. Still completely overwhelmed, he's struggling against the relentless magical assault, getting pushed back further and further. And then, with a heavy thud, Pram just collapses to the ground, totally defeated, as Desser stands victorious over him. He's just lying there, motionless, as the dust settles around him. Just a moment later, Desser's looking down, asking if he's okay, and Pram's like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But Desser's quick to point out, "Dude, that's the worst I've ever seen you lose." Pram's like, "Yeah, it was a lot, but I'm good," still reeling from that insane power. Meanwhile, a totally battered, scarred dude, Woojukan, is groaning, asking if this whole mess is finally done. Desser just turns his back on the defeated Woojukan, and tells Pram, "Let's go." And then, a subtle, knowing smirk just plays across Desser's face. He's staring down an epic, glowing door to the homunculus laboratory, but the system's dropping truth bombs, no one's strong enough to open it, and he's totally trapped in the blank's higher labyrinth. Then, facing Pram, he gets a shout-out for taking down the barbarian, but Pram's not done, he's throwing down the gauntlet, promising the next door that opens will be because he won. Flashback time. Woojukan, the barbarian, had dropped a chilling warning, bail on the labyrinth if they wanted to keep breathing. But Woojukan's big talk turned into a full-on brawl, as he charged in, weapon blazing, only for Desser to shut him down with lightning-fast moves. The fight was over in a flash, Woojukan down for the count, totally shocked by Desser's win. Back to reality, the town's buzzing with life, a total vibe shift from that intense battle. Whoa. Pram's totally freaking out, hands clamped over his mouth in pure shock. Totally crushed, he's on the ground, telling Desser he gave it his all, and Desser's just like, "Yeah, I know." And just like that, Desser's holding up this super cool, glowing key thing, a silent trophy of his victory. He's just strolling through the city, soaking in the everyday vibes after all that intense labyrinth action. Out of nowhere, a voice pops up, hitting him with the classic, "Yo, Desser, you hungry?" Pram's all flustered, trying to get his words out, stuttering, I'm. He finally spits it out, "Seriously, no need to thank me." Desser's like, "Nah, dude, I put you in danger with that Woojukan stunt." But Pram's having none of it, firing back, "Seriously, there's nothing to thank me for." Pram doubles down, his voice totally serious, "Actually, I should be thanking you." Desser clarifies his move, saying, "Look, after hearing what went down, I couldn't just leave you hanging like that." Then, he whips out a kebab, asking, "It's all thanks to your awesome wonder, Pram. You into kebabs?" Pram's eyes go wide, totally caught off guard. Pram's eyes are huge, totally blown away by what's happening. He flashes back to last night, a dream where he crushed the academy with one goal, mastering everything it threw at him. But once he hit max level, his life just flatlined, becoming totally empty, no epic quests, no endgame, just nothing. He was just floating through life, no purpose, no goal, just a total void. But then, a game changer hits him, a spark in his otherwise dead-end life. For a guy like him, totally lost. Desser literally forged a new path for him, a reason to keep going when he had nothing. Pram, with a huge, real smile, thanks him for the food, but you can tell it's way more than just about the grub. If that's how it is, he decides, he's all in, he's following him. With Pram's determination burning bright, he saw the destiny Desser had laid out, a path just for him. But elsewhere, a critical secret was being debated, one voice demanding, "Why were we kept in the dark about this before we took down the dragon?" The answer was chilling, because this was humanity's first dragon kill, ever. Back to Desser, who felt a monumental shift in the very fabric of reality, a colossal power radiating from the sky above. Suddenly, the view snapped to an empty classroom, the Alpha-class curriculum system stark on the board, a quiet moment before the storm of learning. A female student, glued to her phone, grumbled about needing a break, when a male student suddenly appeared, asking, "Hey, can I help you?" He peered down at her, and asked, "Do you have long?" "A feast is ready. Roasted meat and veggies, looking absolutely delicious, are just waiting to be devoured." Meanwhile, a young woman with vibrant orange hair and huge, shocked eyes is totally captivated, her face screaming, "What just happened?" Suddenly, an older blonde-haired guy walks right up to Desser, dropping a bombshell, "I've been looking for you forever. So glad we finally connected." The orange-haired girl lets out a little, "oh," of shock, as Desser and the blonde guy head off, maybe to room 401 or something important. Totally bewildered, she just manages a, "huh," while the two guys chill at a table, the blonde one smoothly saying, "You gotta be exhausted." The tension builds as the blonde-haired man reaches out, returning a mysterious cross-shaped item to the protagonist. His piercing blue eyes lock onto the protagonist, the intensity of his stare hinting at deeper secrets. The humble wooden cross now sits on the table, a relic of their past, loaded with untold stories. An orange-haired woman watches, stunned, as the protagonist shuts down the blonde man's assumption, declaring it a personal thought. The blonde man then speculates, asking if dating him was too much trouble, but then instantly rejects his own theory. He corrects them, stating his reasons were distinct. As the orange-haired woman drops a bombshell, she was part of the beta class. She's baffled, asking if her black-haired status was the problem, but he instantly shoots down the idea. With a determined look, he firmly states, the choice was solely his. The orange-haired woman reveals her party leader disbanded them, then brings up the protagonist's history with both beta and alpha class members, prompting a shocked reaction from the blonde man who asks if she truly remembers. The orange-haired girl flashes a confident smile, ready to drop some truth bombs. She drops the bombshell, revealing she's a commoner too, chilling at a fancy table. Meanwhile, the gray-haired dude across from her is absolutely losing it, his eyes burning red. She's taken aback as he straight up calls her a liar, claiming no real commoner would ever turn down his offer. She thinks for a second, then agrees with him, but immediately flips the script, demanding his real motive. Getting serious, she starts to spill the tea, as he just sits there, deep in thought, clutching his goblet. His jaw drops as she casually drops the bomb, that her crew doesn't see her the way he does, all while rocking a smug smile. The gray-haired guy's face just goes stone cold, his stare turning absolutely piercing. He lets out a frustrated HAAH and a disgusted TCH, while she points right at him, calling him trash. The gray-haired man, clearly offended, fires back, demanding to know why she'd stoop to such trashy behavior. With a defiant smirk, she throws his own word back at him, a chilling trash, huh. Her mind races, recalling the ancient, bitter feud between nobles and commoners, a fear-driven hatred because noble mana is inherited, not earned, and any trash commoner could rise above them. She flashes back to her crew, a motley band of commoners, as the gears of change grind on. But everything changed with the Shadow World's arrival. Now, anyone who can snag and power up a magic gem can unleash incredible strength. That's why the nobles, desperate to hoard all the power, shoved commoners into the beta class. She finishes her thought, declaring the nobles are nothing but a crumbling sand castle, doomed to collapse, and that's exactly why she's laughing in their faces. Still reeling from her words, the gray-haired man can only stammer out, a bewildered, why do nobles hate commoners so much? His face contorts in utter bewilderment, a single, what, escaping his lips. The gray-haired man is still processing Romantica's intense rant, but she's not done. She hits him with another bombshell, why weren't we told about the dragon before we took it down? His mind races, a past incident slamming into his thoughts, it feels like it just happened yesterday. A flashback hits. He's facing down shadowy figures, calling them out as those evil bastards from the Republic. Romantica snaps him back to reality with a sigh, acknowledging his confusion, but drops a chilling prediction, our paths might just make us enemies. She keeps going, describing mana bursting out, and he's thinking, is this tier 7 magic? No, it's way beyond that. Another memory surfaces, him, Romantica, Desir, and Pram, all together, talking about some insane power they'd faced. He's in the flashback, stating that this power isn't even magic, it's just incalculable. The memory intensifies with shouts of die, and kill all the fucking bastards, a brutal fight where they had no choice but to kill. The dark memory keeps playing, punish the guilty. I lost everything because of you, and then the chilling final line, we will not stop the execution. The flashback plunges deeper, a voice demanding to know why they were kept in the dark about this dragon before its epic takedown. The shocking answer. This was humanity's first ever dragon kill. A cloaked figure stands triumphant over the fallen titan, clutching its pulsating, bloody core, as the voice declares this raw, untamed power isn't just magic, it's beyond calculation. And this memory hits hard, twisting the gray-haired man's face with raw intensity, his eye blazing with a furious, crimson glow as dark, pulsing veins erupt across his skin, a testament to the sheer weight of his past. Inside a high-stakes office, the gray-haired boss demands an update on the Havrian Academy special interview. And Wujukan, clutching a stack of papers, snaps back that it's almost done, slamming the new student interview data onto the desk. He then stresses the absolute need to be the first to report this, pushing for extreme speed. Wujukan leans in, a grim look on his face, hinting at a major issue brewing. But the gray-haired man just smirks, declaring this whole thing is gonna be a massive hit. Later, watching a group of students, Wujukan and the gray-haired man share a look, they're definitely in on something big. Wujukan then voices the burning question, just what are they about to unleash? The halls of Havrian Academy are eerily quiet, but you just know that's about to change. But elsewhere, in a sun-drenched office, Romantica is chilling, totally convinced everything went off without a hitch. But then, out of nowhere, a blood-curdling scream echoes from the academy grounds. And then a brutal impact as someone gets absolutely slammed to the ground, with a crowd gathering around. A serious blonde woman in glasses, flanked by two sharp-dressed men, watches the whole mess go down, totally poker-faced. One of the students near the downed person lets out a frustrated curse, clearly not happy with how things are going. And just like that, the chaos hits Woojukan, whose face twists into a furious snarl, absolutely fuming about how arrogant these kids are. He slams his fist down, his voice exploding in a rage, screaming about how these beta-class students could possibly be so disrespectful. His rage absolutely explodes as he yells, claiming these commoners are disrespecting the beta class and ordering them to hit the books. The classroom is dead silent, save for the ragged gasps of students, a palpable tension filling the air. Then, a raw burst of power just explodes through the room, forcing a blonde student to flinch back, hands up, trying to block whatever just hit her. And back in his office, Woojukan is absolutely seething, his mind racing with rage. Gripping a document, he growls, "This is all part of that punk scheme." The sheer disrespect and damage just ignite his rage, and he snarls, "After putting me through this, I'm going to make you pay back 10,000 times over, Desser Herman." His face a mask of pure fury, he roars, "When they called that new student weak, I should have just ended him right then and there." A damning document, detailing the beta class restrictions and explicitly naming Desser Herman, sits on his desk, as he slams his fist down, a furious, choked-back roar tearing from him. His fist stays locked tight, his fury burning as he reiterates, "I'm going to make you pay back 10,000 times over, Desser Herman." Outside, Havrian Academy's massive structure just sits there, totally oblivious to the absolute chaos about to erupt inside. Back in his office, Woojukan is at his desk, face stone-cold as he declares, "Maybe I've been too lenient with these unruly students. I can't let them run wild anymore. They are going to pay for this." Woojukan lays down the law, demanding his subordinate go all out to take down Desser's party, with the ultimate prize of the single ranker spots on the line. But then, a sudden thought hits him, making him stop dead in his tracks. Elsewhere, a Jest, with her crew, drops a bombshell, "If no one steps up, the beta class is gonna snatch all the ranker spots." Someone shouts her name in alarm. He then hits her with a direct question about her past fight with Desser, and she confirms it without hesitation. Then comes the real test, he asks her point blank, can she actually beat him this time? A smirk plays on his lips as he confidently states that her response is all he needs. A Jest takes a moment, weighing his words. He pushes further, betting she's not planning on losing, and she confirms it with unwavering resolve. With the deal sealed, he gives the final order, she's to unleash everything she's got to wipe out Desser's party. Her eyes narrow, a flash of the past igniting her resolve. And then, the image of Desser Herman flashes before her, a burning memory igniting her fury. "It's you again, Desser. I still have not forgotten that day." A past encounter, a brutal lesson, burned into her very soul. He had ripped open her eyes to the world's true scale, and the sacred things she had to protect, forcing her to confront, "You have taught me that there are many things in this world that I do not yet know. And you have taught me that there are many things that I must protect." Now, with an iron resolve forging her spirit, she growls, this time. She roars, ready to unleash her full power, "I will fight you with everything I have. Desir." But elsewhere, the Academy's grand halls lay silent, a new chapter about to unfold. Suddenly, a sharp-suited man with slick-back gray hair cuts through the silence, his aura demanding respect, as a voice challenges, "You are." He coolly introduces himself as Donovan Hound, as a fiery red-haired student steps forward, demanding to know his name in return, Donovan Hound. "And you are?" Donovan Hound, ever the stoic, faces a red-haired student who's practically begging to join his party. But Donovan isn't having it, shutting down the student's hopes with a blunt, "Impossible." He lays down the law, no one leaves Romantica's party for his, leaving the student utterly stunned. The student quickly regains composure, clarifying they're not questioning his power, but their own, admitting they might be too green to go solo. But Donovan isn't buying it, cutting them off with a sharp, "What are you even doing?" and demanding to know what problem they're talking about. He makes it crystal clear, he doesn't care about their skills or their drama, because they're already a party leader. The red-haired student's eyes narrow, and a fierce resolve burns within them, Donovan Hound is officially their rival. Deep within the Academy's massive archives, Pram and Romantica are absolutely swamped by ancient tomes, and they're totally freaking out about what all these records even are. Desir, completely immersed in the historical texts, drops some serious knowledge, revealing these are the original points records, all compiled by the Academy and packed with studies on the Shadow World's history. Pram and Romantica are totally stunned, their faces screaming confusion, as they try to process the mountain of info and the sudden, random talk about history. Desir turns to his stunned crew and drops a bombshell, from now on, they're completely ditching their usual training. Instead, he clarifies, they're diving headfirst into history lessons. Pram and Romantica are absolutely floored, their jaws practically on the floor, totally freaking out over this wild, unexpected history bomb. He drops a bombshell, revealing the Academy's archives hold the key to the points system, a game-changer for their placement exams. This isn't just trivia, he stresses that understanding the Shadow World's history is absolutely critical, because it's all going to be on the test. Conquering Shadow World missions earns them points, and rack up enough, and they can literally control the Shadow Worlds. But there's a catch, the Academy's records are a mess, with tons of crucial Shadow World info still locked away from the public eye. So, while they've got some control, they're still wide open to unexpected attacks. When students like them enter a Shadow World for their entrance exam, there are no exceptions, they can't mess with anything happening inside or change the mission goals. That's exactly why, he declares, historical knowledge is a must-have, and these history books are their secret weapon for future missions. But here's the kicker, there are 0 records on a points system, so they're not holding back any info on that either. Romantica, though, is not on board with forcing everyone to hit the books instead of hitting the training grounds. Having laid out the critical importance of their historical deep dive, Desser drops the next bombshell, after devouring every record, they're to compile a full report on their findings. The weight of his secret presses down, a truth he can't share, even though he's literally a time traveler from the future. He's got the ultimate cheat sheet, but it's locked away in his mind, because he can't just blurt out that he already knows every terrifying detail of the Shadow World awaiting them. Back in the study hall, a subtle shift in the air, as Romantica slyly closes the distance between herself and Pram. With a knowing smirk, she zeroes in on him, demanding to know what's up. Pram's face flushes as she corners him, calling him out for getting a little too cozy. Blushing furiously, he stammers out his defense, claiming he's just observing how much closer she and Desser have gotten. Desser lets out a curious hum, his eyes catching on something new, something she's never worn before. A mischievous glint in his eye, he starts to connect the dots, musing if they both perhaps. Romantica lets out a dramatic cough, and Pram, totally absorbed in his reading, suddenly gasps at a mind-blowing historical revelation. She whips around, eyes narrowed, grilling him about his weird behavior, and he just begs her to back off. Meanwhile, Desser catches their bizarre antics from afar, totally baffled by what these two are even doing. Romantica gets right in his face, demanding answers now, but Pram plays dumb, swearing he has no idea what she's talking about. She just keeps pushing, and he lets out a huge, frustrated groan, practically jumping out of his skin from her relentless interrogation. She's not letting up, totally cornering him against the desk with her relentless pressure. Back in his study, Desser is chilling with a book, casually wondering why everyone doesn't just read more. Back to the drama. Pram, totally cornered by Romantica, shouts he'll just grab a book, probably as a desperate escape plan. Desser's hand goes for a book, and he suddenly makes a confused, sound, like he just found something wild. Romantica's jaw drops, a shocked escaping her lips as she spots something unbelievable. Her eyes lock onto a Jest, who's casually holding a massive, ancient book, making Romantica shout her name in pure shock. Romantica immediately points, demanding to know where a Jest was hiding, but a Jest just lets out an annoyed humph in response. The mysterious, ancient, leather-bound book just sits there, radiating untold secrets. They're at a table now, and Romantica is practically vibrating with curiosity over the book, but a Jest is still playing it cool. Romantica can't hold back, demanding to know what a Jest is hiding, and a Jest actually blushes, quickly looking away. The scene shifts, and now Desser is chilling with a Jest, casually remarking that it's been ages. He explains his early comeback, then drops the intel that he heard she was in the Blue Moon. He keeps going, noting that she's still the same as she was back on that epic day of the dragon. A Jest's eyes narrow, a profound realization dawning as she declares the past is irrevocably changed. And it's all because of Desser's very presence. A shiver of recognition shoots through Desser Armin as her words hit home. She presses on, revealing his deepest thoughts. He expected her to be real, to return to this present, and that they should never have lost hope. Desser, ever the strategist, immediately challenges her, asking if she's implying he's the one who brought her back. His eyes bore into her, demanding to know if that's truly how she sees him. A Jest hesitates, a moment of deep thought passing through her. Before finally conceding that he truly does understand her. Then, with a fierce determination, she confirms his insight, boldly declaring him her rival. Desser, with a smirk, can't help but feel flattered. He playfully pushes back, admitting she might think his success is all thanks to her, even apologizing for his own hard work. But a Jest, ever the rival, just glances back with a sharp humph, her competitive fire still burning bright. Desser accepts her challenge, refusing to let her take all the credit. Revealing that his relentless pursuit to match her was all about proving their shared, intense competitive spirit. The stakes are raised as a narration box drops a bombshell. She's the absolute core of their Shadow World attack force, and she'll need to level up like never before. With a final, powerful declaration, a Jest walks away, ready for their next clash. It's confirmed, the one and only a Jest King's crown is on the move, leaving Desser to ponder their rivalry. On a desolate, cracked battlefield, cloaked figures stand amidst an explosive, orange mana surge. They're demanding answers, wondering why they were kept in the dark about this monumental event, only to be hit with the shocking truth: this is the first dragon ever slain in human history. And the mana erupting from it? It's beyond anything they've ever seen, dwarfing even Tier 7 magic, an absolutely insane, incalculable power. The day was here. Hebron Academy's placement exam was about to kick off. And aspiring mages were swarming the place, buzzing with anticipation. The chatter was all about the exams, with one student hyping them up as the biggest deal at the academy. The clock was ticking, and a massive, dark doorway beckoned. A lone foot crossing the threshold, the student coolly stating, "Well, of course." Someone else drove the point home with a sharp hand motion, doubling down on the fact that these exams were the absolute biggest deal at the academy. Inside, the squad, Desser, Romantica, and Pram, were all together, taking in the scene with a blend of excitement and composure. Romantica, spinning to face him, blurted out, "Wait, Desser, you're..." She's totally checking him out, a playful smirk on her face as she points out his perfectly styled necktie. He lets out a little groan, tugging at the tie, confessing that these fancy events are just not his vibe. Pram, being the sweetie he is, gives a genuine compliment, and Romantica jumps right in, totally backing him up on how good he looks. He catches his own reflection, a tiny smirk forming as he thinks he's finally getting the hang of it, but deep down, he's still a bit awkward about the whole formal thing. He spins around to face his crew, asking if they're hyped and ready to go, and they both shout back with a resounding yes. Taking that first confident stride, they're off. The moment they step out, the whole place goes wild. Students are buzzing, pointing, and shouting, all because Desser just walked by looking sharp. The crowd's getting even louder, some even yelling, "Captain." Their fangirling is off the charts. Romantica's jaw drops as she finally gets it, they're actually cheering for them. "So, this is Desser." Romantica whispers, a hint of disbelief in her tone, as Pram chimes in, "He looks so normal." Desser just grins, a confident hand on her head, "Relax. I'm going to absolutely crush them." Adjest's eyes blaze with an almost supernatural intensity. "Alright, listen up." Desser commands the assembly, "It's time to lock in our positions." Pointing directly at her, he declares, "Romantica, you're our sniper." Adjest is locked in as the unyielding frontline tanker, ready to smash any advance, while Pram is set to follow up and dismantle the rest. Romantica hesitates, "But will my magic even work against Alpha class students?" Desser's voice is firm, "Just unleash at the moment you sense them." Pram frets, "This is my first simulated attack. How much power do I even use?" Desser's voice, cool and collected, promises that if Pram can't handle it, he will. "Don't sweat it," Desser reassures him, revealing the special attack ball is engineered for maximum durability, raw power, and mana absorption. He lays down the law, but Romantica's already on edge, asking how they're supposed to fight Alpha class when they haven't even seen a dragon. Pram's right there with her, feeling the pressure. Then, he locks eyes with Pram, telling him he's the protector, the half-dealer, and Pram snaps to attention, ready to go. Adjest gives him a look, but he just tells her to trust him, and she's instantly on board. Romantica's still stressing about the gear, but he shuts it down, telling them he's got it all handled, and Pram's already bought in. He knows it, he feels it, he's the playmaker, the one who's gonna make it all happen. It's happening. The gate to the shadow world is open. Get ready, students. Line up and get through that gate. Mission time. The squad is locked and loaded, ready to dive into whatever the shadow world throws at them. The moment has arrived. A system voice booms, declaring the placement exams are officially underway. Deep within a sun-dappled forest. Desser snaps his head up, a jolt of realization hitting him, time's running out, and fast. His mission is crystal clear: find that enemy base. A system alert flashes, confirming a hostile enemy base is nearby, and the hunt is on. He and Adjust sweep the area, but a crucial detail hits him: Romantica and Pram are nowhere to be found. Suddenly, a low hum vibrates through the air, snapping his focus. He's hit. A sudden burst of ice explodes around him, catching him off guard. But he quickly identifies it: that's ice bolt magic. No way. How did they find him this fast? It's Desser Armin, ready for action. With a smirk, he's surprised by how famous he's become. But his opponent quickly reminds him, it's not the good kind of fame. Eyes meet, and the tension is palpable, pure determination in their stares. No time to waste, Desser fires back with an ice blast, a wave of freezing power. But just as it launches, Adjust unleashes a fire road, a fiery counterattack that blazes to meet him. She unleashes a devastating Waria wave, as raw blue energy explodes from her hands, forming razor-sharp ice shards. But Desser, ever the strategist, instantly realizes she's somehow wielding two different magics at once. The ice wave surges forward, morphing into a colossal, jagged construct of pure frost. Then, with a deafening roar, it slams down, a fearsome ice dragon impacting with earth-shattering force. But Desir is already one step ahead, throwing up a defensive spell, his mind racing, if that's how it is. The ice dragon roars, continuing its relentless assault, its jagged form ripping through the very air. A grim smile plays on his lips as he declares, her own magic is about to flicker and be shut down. Just as he predicted, a jest's blue magic violently flickers around her hands, her face contorting in shock as her spell destabilizes. And then, with a deafening crack, the ice spell shatters completely, leaving only a shadowy figure standing amidst the fragments. Someone demands to know why they were kept in the dark about the dragon before they took it down, but the answer hits hard: humanity had never, ever, slain a dragon before. The very earth below them is ripping apart, raw mana exploding from the cracks, a power so utterly insane it blows past Tier 7, becoming an unstoppable, immeasurable force. Suddenly, a sharp crack rips through the air as ice shatters. Followed by a dark, spiky burst of energy exploding from the frozen expanse. Then, a brilliant blue light explodes, sending countless ice shards flying everywhere. While Desir grips his staff, eyes locked on the escalating magical display. More ice shards keep flying, creating a chaotic, shimmering storm all around him. But then, with a look of utter shock, he gasps, the ice has stopped. As if on cue, a massive vortex of ice and wind erupts before him, swirling with immense power. He unleashes a desperate cry, pouring everything into his attack. But a brutal counterattack slams into him, a raw scream tearing from his throat as blood streaks his face. Towering over his fallen form, a blue-haired woman with blazing red eyes mocks his lack of preparation, proclaiming that his concentration will never reach her level. With a chilling smirk, she demands his last words. Crushed on the ground, Desir's mind races, unable to grasp the sheer power that just overwhelmed him, muttering about the incomprehensible mana. The blue-haired victor simply stares down, a low, contemptuous laugh rumbling from her. A blinding blue aura erupts around her, as she coldly states he picked the wrong fight. Desir's jaw drops in utter disbelief, as the horrifying truth dawns on him: his magic was dissected, analyzed, and utterly countered. The blue-haired master delivers her crushing final lesson, a stark warning to never underestimate and always outthink his foes. He unleashes a torrent of blue magic, confident in its power, proclaiming it the very essence of magic itself. His opponent, a blue-haired woman, initially seems surprised by his spell. His determined gaze fixed on her. But a voice from above urges him to learn. Before he can react, her own blue magic erupts, intercepting and shattering his spell, striking him with overwhelming force. He cries out in pain, recoiling from the impact. As she taunts him, asking if he truly believes she would use commoner's magic. The realization of her true power dawns on him, his eyes widening in shock. As her potent blue energy swirls around him, completely engulfing him in its icy embrace. Completely outmatched, Desir Hermann lets out a desperate gasp, his mind reeling from the overwhelming power that just crushed him, forced to admit his defeat. He's sent flying, a blur of motion and pain, his body slamming through the environment as he falls. And just like that, the system confirms it: one elimination. The blue-haired mage surveys the field, a hint of surprise in her eyes. She can't believe he's already out. Her power is no joke, and she knows it. She's got to be careful not to accidentally take out more contestants. A quick glance around, and she realizes it: time is ticking, and it's running out fast. Another system alert pops up: one more down, only 27 left. Elsewhere in the arena, a girl with a red ribbon in her hair pops up, her face a mask of worry as she scans the area. She spots the blue-haired mage and immediately rushes over, desperate to know if she's seen Desir. Pram and Romantica are dropped into a wild, rocky zone, but at least they're together, a small win in this crazy situation. Romantica wonders if they can track him down fast, then throws down a playful gauntlet to Pram, asking if he can even keep pace, and he's all, duh, of course. But just as quickly, Pram lets out a sharp grunt, blue energy exploding around him, bracing for a hit he didn't see coming. The hit connects hard, ripping a cry from him as his magic shatters, and he's sent flying. Across the distance, the blue mage feels the ripple, her senses locking onto 2 targets, then instantly updating to 3. Romantica, witnessing Pram's hit, snarls as orange power ignites around her, gearing up for battle. She decides to go full distraction mode. Even though her magic is running low, she's gonna buy them some time. Romantica screams at Pram to watch his back, but he's already freaking out, convinced he's about to die. So, what exactly did you stumble upon? Just as the attack lands, Pram flinches back, eyes wide with shock as a mysterious hand descends. Wait, that's not Desir. But then, a sudden shift. In a barren wasteland, Desir appears, flanked by a jest, and he's not happy. He lays into Romantica and Pram, dropping truth bombs about how their reckless magic just broadcast their position. Romantica, clearly annoyed but unable to argue, grumbles a sarcastic agreement, knowing he's right. But elsewhere, a chilling voice echoes, a mysterious challenger questioning if Desser has leveled up enough to face them. Romantica throws down the gauntlet, demanding to know what their opponent means, daring them to step up if they're so confident, as Pram mentally preps for his own move. Desser shrugs off the taunt, declaring that knowing their location changes absolutely nothing. He presses on, demanding to know where they get off thinking they can actually win. Romantica just scoffs, like, duh, it's obvious, as Pram explodes into action, launching his attack with blinding speed. His sword flies, but the blue mage just throws up a glowing shield, batting it away like it's nothing. Before he can even blink, the mage unleashes a blue energy blast, sending him flying back with a taunt, still too slow. Her words just hang there, a brutal reminder of her insane speed, as he stumbles back, defeated. The pressure was building, and Desser snapped, telling everyone to cut the overthinking and just get ready. Romantica, ever the skeptic, just scoffed. Then, with a battle cry, Pram lunged, sword flashing, but the blue mage was already there, a lightning-fast blur, batting his attack aside like it was nothing. Before he could even blink, she was already striking back, a blindingly fast counter that left no room for defense. A devastating blue blast erupted from her hand, smashing into his chest, and he was sent flying, utterly overwhelmed. He was just a tiny dot, soaring through the air from the impact, while the mage stood there, completely unfazed, watching him crash. Desser was absolutely stunned, questioning how anyone could be that strong, and Romantica was already fuming, calling them arrogant bastards. The blue mage, now absolutely glowing with a fierce blue aura that shattered the earth beneath her, declared her dominance, daring anyone to look down on her. Her chilling words and raw power left Desser utterly dumbfounded, and Romantica could only manage a shocked, disgusted bullshit. And Pram? He was still screaming in agony and total confusion, having no idea how he got utterly wrecked like that. Desser, barely keeping his footing, tries to warn the blue-haired mage, telling her not to fixate on Pram. But the blue mage just smirks, a blinding blue aura erupting around her as she extends her hand, firing back, otherwise, I won't be able to worry about me. Romantica screams at Desser to get up, as Pram lies there, still reeling from the last hit. Desser's gaze hardens, a fierce resolve burning in his eyes as he mutters, you cannot take your eyes off your enemy in a fight. But in a flash, the blue mage's hand snaps out, grabbing his arm with lightning speed and snarling, don't you dare lecture me. With a brutal, blindingly fast twist, she sends him flying. Leaving him utterly disoriented, his mind racing, when did she even? The blue mage's voice slices through his daze, her tone dripping with pure contempt as she snarls, this isn't the time to focus on me, you idiots. Your slowing is pathetic. She stands, a vortex of crackling blue energy and swirling leaves, radiating an absolutely dominant aura of raw power. With the blue mage still standing tall, Desser, engulfed in a blinding blue aura, unleashes his attack, shouting a defiant farewell to his formidable opponent. Yet, in a flash, his assault is utterly nullified, sending him spiraling backward, a desperate, damn it, echoing as he plummets. He crashes to the earth, utterly defeated, as the blue mage coolly declares him eliminated, deeming him utterly insignificant to her grand scheme. Meanwhile, Romantica and Pram witness Desser's brutal takedown. Romantica cries out to Pram, who, feeling the sting of being a beta-class hunter, anxiously asks about her progress. Ignoring Desser's swift defeat, a jest, a blur of motion, launches her own furious assault, blade flashing. Yet, with a casual flick, the blue mage, now adorned with shimmering blue energy wings, swats a jest aside, announcing her swift elimination. With both Desser and a jest now down, Romantica and Pram stare in disbelief, Romantica muttering about the blue mage's impenetrable defense, wishing their enemies were this easy. Pram, impressed, praises Romantica's newfound prowess, who, with a smirk, gives all the credit to Desser. The blue mage, gazing down at the defeated heroes, shrugs off their existence, then scoffs at their overreactions to what she deems a mere trifle. After the epic showdown, someone's already calling out Desser, like, dude, you knew? Your vibe is seriously weird. Desser's like, oops, got a little too into it, and apologizes for not jumping in sooner. Then another friend just snorts, totally confirming they watched the whole thing, making the first one yell, you were watching us the whole time. But Desser's just chill, asking what went down and how they got so ridiculously powerful, making one of them gasp, eh. The white-haired girl just brushes him off with a wee-hee, totally denying she's gotten any stronger. That's Romantica, and she's looking seriously ticked off. She's like, what are you even doing? Desser then calls out Pram, reminding him he wanted to level up too, and Pram's all, whoa, hold up. Not me. Looks like things are about to kick off again. The sky itself screams, a furious rumble tearing through the air. As raw lightning rips through the heavens, striking a colossal clock tower with devastating force. Then, from the absolute blackness, two piercing, malevolent red eyes ignite, followed by a chilling, almost mechanical squeak that promises pure terror. In a desolate, rocky wasteland, cloaked figures debate a monumental event. One demands to know why they weren't briefed about the dragon before its demise, only to be hit with the shocking truth: this was humanity's first dragon kill ever. Then, a.m. Desir is hit hard, coughing up a storm as fiery magic explodes around him. He's down, looking defeated, as the blue-haired mage looms over him, a cool blue aura radiating from her as she delivers the chilling line, "It was nothing personal." Her blue aura blazing, the mage declares another elimination, dropping the contestant count to a mere 24. Elsewhere, Pram cradles a wounded Romantica, who grimly confirms another elimination, leaving the Alpha class with only 23 survivors. Romantica presses Pram, "You said you'd decide with us about." And he quickly catches on, "Ah, right. The brutal rules of this game are laid bare: either complete the stage's objective, or be the last one standing." Pram drops some serious truth on Romantica, reminding her that this isn't about being number one, it's about surviving the cut to the top 50. Romantica's eyes widen as she gets it: he's totally right. They still have a shot with the second strategy. He doubles down, explaining they don't need the top spot, just a solid position in the top 5. Pram lays out the master plan: the remaining 15 are about to go full battle royale, so they just need to pick off 10 more while everyone else is distracted. With a sly grin, he asks Romantica if this sounds like a cakewalk compared to the first strategy, knowing he's got her convinced. Romantica's all in now, pumping her fist in agreement. Strategy locked and loaded, Romantica is hyped and ready to roll. They plunge into the shadowy depths of a thick forest, their next move already underway. Pram wisely decides to chill on the fighting for now, reveling in the fact that they're the only ones not caught in the chaos. Flashback to a cataclysmic event, mages stare in awe at the raw, untamed mana erupting from a slain dragon, a power beyond anything ever recorded. Back in the present, Desir's mind is a whirlwind, haunted by the memory of a dragon and the unsettling feeling that he's walking straight into danger. Desir's mind is a battlefield of what-ifs about his hidden identity, but Romantica, ever the pragmatist, is already deep in thought about their next move. The stakes are sky-high for Desir. He visualizes the absolute disaster if his commoner status ever got out, his inner critic screaming that he'd be instantly expelled. She knows the drill: most likely, she muses, my commoner identity would have been exposed. A close call she's not forgetting. Suddenly, a gloved hand reaches out to Romantica, a voice cutting through her thoughts, calling her name with reassurance. Romantica whips around, glaring at Desir. "Stop looking down on me," she snaps, vowing that even if her secret got out, she'd handle it. Desir just flashes a confident grin, telling her to chill out because he's got her back. His words hit different, and Romantica's face instantly flushes, her mind reeling with thoughts of him. Through the pouring rain, the squad pushes on, the talk turning to their party situation, as a stern warning cuts through the air: "I told you to stop." They hit the scene at a massive clock tower, and someone's already yelling at Desir to get moving, but he's just staring, totally mesmerized. He's actually digging the whole vibe. With that massive clock face and bell just dominating the skyline. The sharp-dressed guy with them is totally confused, asking what the heck the big hurry is all about. Then he's like, "Wait, is it already time for this to go down?" eyes glued to the tower. Desir, though, gets this mental pop-up, telling him to use everything he knows to figure out what's happening right now. Suddenly, lightning cracks around the tower, and a system alert screams that previous clock tower is live, spilling the beans that it's an escalation device, pumping out 5 demonic creatures every single hour. Romantica and Pram are totally freaking out as another alert pops up, screaming that a brand new quest has just dropped. The sharp-dressed guy confirms the quest, dropping the bomb that a demonic creature is chilling in the forest, then snaps at them to pay attention. Deep in the forest, the mission is clear: survive the demonic creature's onslaught. This quest isn't over until that thing is taken down. The air gets thick with dark energy, and weird, glowing mana lines are practically exploding through the trees. Romantica, totally freaked out, blurts, What was that? That sound? You guys heard that, right?" Then the rain starts pouring, and Desir shouts to his crew, "Desire. Mr. Desir." He scans the area, drenched by the sudden downpour, a bad feeling creeping in. Romantica groans about the sudden downpour. "Ugh. It stinks so bad." Desir's eyes narrow, the disgusting smell making his worry spike. He snaps to his team, his voice cutting through the rain, "Hurry up and get ready." Then, from the dark forest, a monstrous, red-furred beast with glowing eyes bursts out, oozing pure evil. A blood-curdling scream rips through the downpour, as Romantica is absolutely paralyzed by fear. "A rat?" she shrieks, her voice cracking, "a demonic rat?" The beast, a terrifying mass of crimson fur, snarls, its eyes blazing with pure, unholy rage. Desir and Pram stand ready, their faces etched with grim determination, as the creature's anger reaches a fever pitch. Then, in a flash of impossible speed, it strikes. Romantica lets out another ear-splitting cry, desperately trying to escape, as Pram yells for her to get out of there. But the nightmare is just beginning. From the oppressive darkness of the forest, countless pairs of glowing red eyes pierce through the rain. A terrifying symphony of guttural roars erupts, as an entire army of these monstrous rats swarms forward. On a scorched, alien landscape, cloaked figures stand amidst the ruins, one demanding to know why they were kept in the dark about this before they took down the dragon. The reply comes swiftly: this was an unprecedented event, the first dragon in all of human history. As they gaze upon the raw power, a mage exclaims that the sheer mana is exploding, questioning if this is even tier 7 magic or something far beyond, something truly incalculable. Under a dark, rain-swept sky, a massive demonic rat stands poised, its form silhouetted against the desolate landscape, as a voice screams a chilling warning: they're going to come. And come they do, a massive, terrifying swarm of the creatures erupting from the shadows, their sheer numbers an overwhelming tide. With glowing red eyes and razor-sharp teeth, the demonic rat swarm closes in, a terrifying tide of gnashing fangs and furious intent. As the creatures descend upon the group, Romantica lets out a piercing, blood-curdling scream, her terror palpable amidst the chaos. Desser, however, remains laser-focused, his hand glowing with nascent magic as he instantly grasps the true nature of their foe. These killer mice are utterly relentless, driven by an insatiable, terrifying hunger for human blood. With a sudden, explosive surge of power, Desser unleashes a devastating wind blow, sending a torrent of blue energy directly into the heart of the approaching swarm. The tension is palpable, a blood-curdling scream echoing through the rain as the killer mice close in, leaving the group in a desperate situation. With a desperate plea to move, Desser's mind races, knowing a simple escape won't cut it, he needs to pull out all the stops. The rain can't hide the fire in his eyes, a steely resolve hardening his expression as he prepares for the impossible. Just as they think they're clear, bam. A massive killer mouse appears out of nowhere, slamming the brakes on their desperate dash. No time to think, Desser screams for Pram to follow, and with a burst of raw power, he literally hurls Romantica over the beast. Like a blur, Pram rockets over the monster, barely touching down. Frozen in terror, Romantica's fear almost gets the better of her, but Desser's desperate shout snaps her back to reality. A terrified shriek escapes her lips, as she launches herself into the air, Desser's powerful push giving her the momentum she needs. But in a heart-stopping moment, she loses her balance, and Desser's eyes widen as he sees her plummeting. He's dragging his buddy, yelling at him to get up and move it. No time to waste. But behind them, a nightmare swarm of killer mice is closing in, an endless tide of terror. The sheer scale of it makes the younger student panic, screaming, how are we supposed to beat these things? Is there even a chance? But the leader's got a plan. We just need to take out the main body, he declares, and he's already pinpointed its exact location. He points right into the chaos, it's inside that swarm. That's their ticket out. With a steely look, he lays out the strategy: take out the core, and the rest crumbles. He's charging up. A glowing red orb of pure mana ignites in his palm, ready to blow these things to kingdom come. Boom! The orb detonates in the swarm's core, a blinding explosion. Killer mice go flying, and a path opens up. Now's the moment. He shoves Romantica, yelling, Romantica. Now's your chance. She gulps, alright, and leaps. Desser unleashes a devastating spell, a torrent of mana blasting through the killer mice, ripping open a path. No time to waste, he shoves Romantica, screaming, go, Romantica, as she's propelled into the air. With a flash of red from her hand, she rockets across the gap. But the swarm is already closing in. Desser yells to Pram, hurry and run. It's catching up. He bolts, the killer mice a terrifying blur at his heels. But he's not giving up. Blue energy erupts around his hands as he charges another spell. Trapped and surrounded, he unleashes a massive magical explosion, roaring, stop. Pram's face twists in fear, the killer mice still swarming, unstoppable. Through the chaos, Desser's desperate cry echoes, Pram, as the creatures are blasted back. He's locked in, a faint blue energy pulsing around him as he tries to find the real target amidst the chaos of the killer mice. The horde is relentless, but his magic is a wall, and he's asking himself, where's the main body? It's totally shut down by his power. His eyes blaze with electric blue energy, he just needs to find that core, that's the key. The swarm is still all over him, and he's screaming for Pram, where are you? Romantica is freaking out, watching from afar, begging him to stop. She wants to use her magic to find Pram, but she's terrified he'll hurt him by accident. She can't take it anymore, a raw fuck ripping from her as the danger escalates. But Desser isn't listening, he's unleashing a devastating torrent of brilliant blue magic, a massive wave of energy exploding outwards, blasting the killer mice away. The magic keeps pushing them back, and he's still screaming Pram's name, his voice raw. The blue energy just keeps expanding, carving a massive path through the swarm, leaving a clear zone where the rats were just moments ago. Rain lashes down as Pram, blade still drawn, receives the system's triumphant confirmation, the Kilbra mouse is eliminated. But the victory is short-lived as Desser's urgent voice cuts through the downpour, demanding to know if Pram is okay, who can only manage a week, I don't, feel so. Pram's eyes roll back, his body giving out, and Desser screams his name, reaching out as the system coldly announces the quest's completion. Pram is down. Romantica screams his name, but all he can manage is a weak whisper for Desser. Even though he's hurt, he can barely get the words out, but he's feeling good, like, really good right now, and Desser is just staring down at him, clearly concerned. Desser pulls him up, a soft, well. Escaping him before a genuine, thank you, Pram, follows. Pram then apologizes for being a mess, but he's stoked to see Desser, because only he can fix this. Desser scoops him up, and Romantica, walking with a jest, can't help but wonder if he's just being weird, as Pram quietly thanks his rescuer. Desser's hand tightens, a silent determination etched on his face. Then, he carefully passes Pram to Romantica, telling her to look after him for a while, and she's totally on board. Injured but not broken, Pram finds a moment's respite as Desser directs him to lean on a sturdy tree. Pram's safety momentarily assured, Desser wastes no time, already moving on as Romantica keeps a watchful eye on their friend. A worried frown creasing her brow, Romantica can't tear her eyes away from Pram. Desser's pace remains unbroken. His mind already strategizing their next move, a silent vow to protect his friends, relieved that Pram's life was not lost. His face hardens with fierce determination, every muscle tensed for what comes next. His eyes blaze with intensity, a singular thought burning through him, absolute focus. As he vanishes into the foliage, Romantica can only watch Desser venture off alone. A sudden, terrifying realization dawns on her, the chilling possibility of another enemy ambush. Romantica is still looking after the wounded Pram, telling him to be more careful, but he just brushes it off, claiming he's okay. She's not buying it, then, switching gears, she starts thinking out loud about the magic around them, wondering if they should tap into it. But then she immediately takes it back, apologizing for even thinking it. Desser just keeps walking away, and Romantica stares after him, wondering what he's up to, but he just tells them to come on. He pushes forward, reaching a giant clock tower just as the rain starts pouring down. He gazes up at the colossal tower, mumbling an apology, taking all the blame for their tardiness. Back with Pram, Romantica is telling him it's totally not his fault, swearing she'll keep him safe. His hand starts to glow with an intense light, and Desser steels himself for whatever comes next. Romantica yells for him to hurry, and the three of them charge towards the clock tower, ready for anything. The rain is coming down hard, but one figure stands unfazed, surrounded by mysterious blue energy, ready for anything. With an intense stare, he lays out the strategy, declaring himself the ultimate bait to clear the path for his team, a move that clearly rattles Romantica. Pram's face screams "No" at the sheer recklessness, but a jest, cool as ice, just says she's going with him, no questions asked. He shuts her down instantly, telling her to hold the line and protect the others. With a confident smirk and a hand flaring with blue power, he promises to be back after dropping an ice golem for them. He just walks off, leaving them stunned, and Romantica can only manage a bewildered gasp. Then, boom. A massive explosion of blue energy blasts from his hand, making someone yell, "What the hell is that?" as pure magic rips through the air. Romantica and Pram are freaking out, totally stunned by the raw power, but a jest, ever the pro, just deadpans, "It's a golem." Golem confirmed. A jest immediately takes command, barking orders for all tanks to get to the front lines. He glances back at his crew, a slight smirk playing on his lips, realizing they've already moved on without him. Someone's demanding answers. Why weren't we told about this before we took down the dragon? But the chilling truth hits back, because this was the first time in human history a dragon had ever been slain. Back in the present, the weather's gone wild, and the squad's facing their toughest challenge yet, trapped in a seriously bad spot. That earlier attack? It tracked them down, hitting them all at the same time. Romantica's eyes are practically burning yellow as she clocks the insane power of their attackers, thinking, no first-year mage should have mana control like this. The raw mana is just exploding from them. Pram's jaw drops, thinking, is this tier 7 magic? No, this power feels even bigger than that. Rain still hammering down on the clock tower, while the students stare down an impossible threat. A jest, always the one in charge, gives Pram a firm, "All right, now." Then, out of nowhere, a new voice slices through the rain. It's Kim Hyun-woo, stepping up and asking, "Shall we get started?" The whole crew's here, and their auras are absolutely exploding with power, geared up to smash through whatever insane threat just showed up.